saying on OBS, saying live or?
Yeah. Here we go. We're back under now. Up.
And we are back. Sorry about that. Good evening, everybody. We are here for the Golden Octopus Foundation 400. It is, of course, the Lucas Oil Australian Stock Car Championship. We are about to go green here at Texas. We look forward to bringing you this race and all the action here tonight. I'm as of Mr. Carl Wilkinson with the Mark in the booth, and we go green tonight for 266 laps. It's Andrew Dyson in the lead, taking pole position. He's pulling away from Ryan Jones, who came out of P2 tonight. We've got 24 cars out there tonight, and so lots of action to come here as we keep an eye on everything as the opening laps will unfold here. As we apologise for getting a little bit late, but everything should be running smoothly now, and we can get into a little bit of housekeeping in a couple of moments once the cars start settling down here at Texas. Very tricky track, of course, very easy to make some mistakes in the early stages, especially with these cars on cold tyres. Everybody getting away nicely at the moment. Up the front, it is still Andrew Dyson in the lead. He's pulling away nicely. Ryan Jones just tucked in behind him. And Ryan Jones will be surely hoping for a very smooth run tonight. We are running with 5 sets of tyres, so the set of tyres they start on, and the teams and drivers get to change them 4 times through the race. Strategically, it's going to be important to change them at the right time. You don't want to burn them up too quickly. You need a couple in your pocket, especially here at Texas with turns 1 and 2. Very easy for the car to struggle through that set of corners. So we are getting ready for, well, we're into 400 miles of the race, and look, it should be a good night here tonight, Mark.
Yeah, it definitely should be. Dyson has come out and decided to have a run tonight, and we can see he's just starting to edge away a little bit. But Ryan Jones is there, and both Daniel Hedderscheid and Toby Stent that are in first and second in the championship. Lockie Urquio up there in the early stage. And unfortunately, Matty Ray, the team boss from SRM, won't be joining us tonight. He's had a major computer malfunction, and he's going to miss tonight's race.
Oh, that is painful to have happen. Never fun when technical issues and technical gremlins take you out. And look, we know a thing about technical gremlins. Sometimes they are never fun, so we hope he can get back on track in the very near future. Just quickly, as we are settling in a little bit here in the early stages, we'll just quickly run through the top 5 in the championship. Is Toby Stent in the lead, 44 points ahead of Ruben Phelps in second. Daniel Hedderscheid, 56 points off the lead in third. Matty Ray in fourth. He's going to be missing out on those points tonight. 59 down at the start of this race. And Stevie Dub, 86 points off the lead in fifth. So he's going to be hoping for a good run tonight. Kai Turner, Joshua Carroll Walden on the screen at the moment, battling it out. As just behind him is Jai Schultz, and we'll bring up the timing tower in just a moment for you all so we can see the intervals. Stevie Dub there in the DPR car, just cruising around at the moment. Nobody's putting too much pressure on, as Kai Turner actually is getting a good move on Lachlan Urquio at the moment. I say there's not too much pressure going on, but the 408 is all over, and around goes the 408 into the 42. Lachlan Urquio, Kai Turner making contact with each other, and that brings out the caution flag. Caution flag out on lap 7 here tonight. And Kai Turner and Lachlan Urquio making contact with each other. We'll just go back for the replay here. And just on the exit of turn 2, just looked like Turner just started washing up in front of Urquio. And big incident on the exit just off the corner here. And the cars get very tight off of this corner. And Kai Turner's got very tight indeed up into Urquio, and around she goes. JCW, Joshua Carroll Walden, getting very lucky to avoid that incident. That could have been a race ender for him, but he just manages to skirt around that. The SRM car of Urquio will have some damage on it, but it looks like it's relatively unscathed from that incident. There's a few little scuffs on the 42. I think the biggest damage comes to the 408 of Kai Turner, who took a fairly hefty whack onto the right front of the Monster 408 there, and that's going to cause some damage to that car tonight. Looks like he's going to be coming down pit lane. Got Ruben Phelps, Gary Wellman, Maxi Marshall, Brett Campbell, Brad Fenley, Tristan Koch, Adam Ariel, Lachlan Oakwood, Derek Jacobs, and Kai Turner all coming down pit lane just to get a top up. As apologise for the cars just turning white there for the briefest of seconds. No, it is not your eyes. It's just the updating of the software. So that will kick in fully in a couple of moments. But Ryan Jones is going to be hoping for a good night tonight. Brad Fenley just exiting pit lane there. Just getting a bit of a top up of fuel by the looks of it from what I can see on the timing screen. Nobody looking like they've taken tyres, looking like we've all taken fuel. Brett Campbell there up in P17 at the moment in the very pretty, very golden Octopus Foundation liveried car, of course. And a big shout out to the Golden Octopus Foundation for being with us tonight as well. A very worthy foundation to have on board, Mark.
Yeah, definitely is, mate. Glad to see they can come on board and give us a hand. And I will say now that we are working with a few people in the background to try and get a fundraising round. And as most people know, we do a Darren McKenzie memorial. Jake McKenzie memorial race. So we are trying to work with a few companies to try and get some prizes, and we're going to turn that round into a fundraiser.
A very worthy thing to do indeed. So we'll keep you up to date on all of that information, of course, and make sure to head over to the socials and, of course, the websites as well to keep track of all of that information, because that will be up there in the near future. So we are about to go back to green flag racing here. The pace car lights are going out at the moment, and it's going to be Andrew Dyson leading away on the inside ahead of Ryan Jones. Ryan Jones has been back with a vengeance, having a stellar week racing up front, but not being the luckiest of drivers recently. So hopefully that is soon to change, and he'll be having a good run. Just behind him, Daniel Hedershide and Toby Stent. So lots of action going on here, and we're about to go back to the green. So pace car will pull in, and we'll go to the restart zone in the very near future as we're just coming out of turn 4 here, and back to green flag racing tonight, getting back to all of the action that we love to see on these ovals, and Texas can bring us some great action indeed. Coming up to the restart zone now. When does Dyson drop the loud pedal? Does it halfway through, gets a nice leap ahead of Jones there. Daniel Hedershide got a good run as well on the inside. Might just be able to make the move here into turn 1. Toby Stent dropping down low as well. Ryan Jones keeping up high at the moment, and looks like he might have just lost that position to Hedershide. Looks like Stent might get a good run off the exit here as well. Stent trying to get up past Ryan Jones at the moment. The number 11 keeping up in front of the 189. 189 really holding that low line though. That's giving Jai Schultz a bit of an opportunity as well, as Jones gets a little bit loose off turn 4. And that gives Joshua Carroll-Walden and Toby Stent the run. Ryan Jones dropping back after that restart. Not the restart he would have wanted for sure, but he is still running. That's the important thing. And look, it's a long old race. We've still got 254 laps to go.
Yeah, the other thing too, Carl, is that these guys won't want to be pushing too hard. I was going to bring that up, but I was a bit busy in the background with Lachlan and Kai. To get points with us, you have to make 50% of the race. So that 50% tonight's 133 laps. So they definitely won't want to be having a lot of damage on these cars.
That is a really important point, as just might need the timing tower back up.
Yep.
Just on the broadcast. There we go. As it is Dyson up there, and yeah, it's very important to get to that point. Getting to that halfway distance is not an easy thing to do, because especially if you get quite a lot of damage, it's very easy to blow an engine in these cars. Very easy to get terminal damage, and it can be very hard to run out there. So getting back out on track, getting those points scored is a crucial thing. At the moment, we've got every car still running. They're all on the lead lap. At the moment, Tristan Koch is rounding out the field down in 23rd spot. He's sitting just behind Derek Jacobs, as those two are racing just down towards the tail end of the pack. But it's not a bad place to be in the early stages, because you can sort of see some accidents happening. Just avoid the nasty incidents if they come. Hopefully, though, we won't be seeing many of them, if any, tonight.
Yeah, definitely. Carl, back up front here, we've got Andrew Dyson now got a 1.2 second lead over Daniel Hederscheid. So he is really got his foot down, and we've seen a great race from him on Thursday night at Martinsville. Ran the whole race on the one tank.
Yeah, he is very good at saving tyres and fuel as well in that 41. Does not look like he's in saving mode at the moment. He looks like he's going full pelt, and his lap times are saying that too. He is constantly the fastest car out there by a good couple of attempts. He's set the fastest lap at the moment as well, a 30.072, which is a fair bit faster than last year's race record, which was a 30.3, I think. So he is absolutely flying out there.
So you can see there, Carl, he's 300ths of a second faster than the second place Daniel Hederscheid.
Yeah, he is building that gap out lap after lap. It is just getting further and further by those 0.3 of a second every single lap as well. He is just building up a mighty lead. And, we know from the past, sometimes those leads can be a bit misleading, because all it takes is one of those nasty yellow flags to appear, and then we can see that gap just disappearing in a heartbeat. But if it runs green, he's going to be in prime position. However, how much life is he taking out the car in this early stage?
Yeah,
is he taking a little bit too much?
Yeah, but as we can see here, Carl, the Tari boys, Daniel and Toby, teammates, ended in the team championship. JCW is not actually in the team championship, but we do know that he is part of the Natari team. So these boys will be trying to work together, try and get up close to each other and help each other along.
Yeah, that's it. The trio of teammates, and they'll be working with each other in the Discord channels as well, just letting each other know little tips and tricks and find out what's going on. And now Andrew Dyson has started to drop back on the pace by a fair amount. He started just going into the 30.4s. So he's really plateaued off the pace here and is just going into conservation mode. He's still about a tenth or two quicker than the car behind him, so still building a bit of a gap here as it gets to 2 seconds here at lap 21 of 266 here at Texas.
Just jump further back in the pack. We see Lockie's dropped down a fair way after that incident with Kyle, but he's definitely trying to work there and hook up with his teammate Ruben Phelps.
Yeah, a bit of free wide action pretty much there between Ross Chatham, Lachlan Urquhart, Gary Wellman, and Ross Chatham's got a little bit of a championship as well that he's working on at the moment, working on the rookies title. He's in a bit of a battle with that with Jake Sallington, Daniel Johnson, and Simon Hathersley as well. So a few drivers aren't here tonight, but Jake Sallington and Ross Chatham both trying to get that little bit of a tick next to their name. And Chatham's doing a good job keeping up right behind Phelps at the moment. As we see a little bit further up the field, Jake Sallington's doing a job of building his championship chances by getting past Jai Schultz here. He's moving up nicely through the field. He's up into P7 now, just sitting behind Ryan Jones. So Sallington having a good run here, and this will be this is what he wants to do. Just get some really good finishes underneath his belt. And if he can get runs up in this part of the field every week, then that's going to really help him out.
Yeah, definitely. And it's good to see SRM bring Jake on board and take them under the wing. So some experienced guys there in that team will be able to help him out and give him some great pointers.
Absolutely, and we like seeing teams building on young drivers and getting a little bit of new blood in there. It's always fun to see, and it wasn't that long ago that our leader was one of those new drivers. But up the front at the moment, Stevie Dubs making a little bit of movement. He's trying to get past JCW here, and that green DPR car of Stevie Dubs just come alive in this part of the race. He started getting some really good pace at the moment. So he's really putting the pressure on. The lead out front is starting to go down a little bit. It dropped by almost a couple of thousandths of a second, but then it's got back to about 2 and a bit because Daniel Hennescheid has looks like he was just easing off the throttle a little bit to let the 189 at Toby Stent through. And Toby Stent getting to the front of this field. Now he's going to be the chaser, and Daniel Hennescheid can just sit in behind him and just make a little bit of fuel mileage, just with the car in front of him braking the air, of course, and will just help him out a little bit just to relax. As Jake Stangerson has a big snap of oversteer on the exit at turn 2, just saves the car there. So good job from him just to keep that car pointing in the right direction here at Texas for the Golden Octopus 400.
So, Carl, next week we've got our Anzac Cup. We're hoping to get young Keeley into the booth and have a chat from the Golden Octopus Foundation. So please be sure to tune in next week. A little bit earlier time. We'll start broadcasting just after 6 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. And we can see there again, Jake just getting a little bit taily on that exit of 4.
Few cars starting to struggle now. I was looking a little bit further back, and the 45 Gary Wellman just took a fairly hefty whack into the barrier, I think. No, sorry, it was Norman Clark, just behind him. The 09 just takes a fairly hefty whack into the barrier. It's kept it going in the right direction. Everything looks okay. But these cars are starting to get really tight on the exit of turn 2, and they're starting to struggle a little bit, and that's getting noticeable up the front. I think Andrew Dyson may have used up the best of his tyres because he's starting to hemorrhage time at the moment. His lead has gone from 2 seconds down to 1.6 of a second, and the cars behind him are just starting to chase him down. And sort of mentioned that before. I wonder if he's going to use a little bit too much life in the tyres, and he might have just done that at the moment because they're starting to catch up to him. It's relatively cool out there tonight, 27 degrees air temperature, 29 degrees track temperature. So I'd say tyre heat won't be too much of an issue, but they can still get quite warm when you're racing in those conditions. So always something you just got to be a bit cautious of. Just don't overheat those tyres too much, because once they get too hot, it's very hard to get them back into the right operating temperatures. So I was just having a bit of a look through the field at some sort of relatively big movers, and there's a couple of people that have made up 6 positions, JCW Stevie Dub, but Jamie Curvis is up into P10 in the number 8 Black Arrow. And he's coming along nicely. He's got Ruben Phelps accompanied just behind him, and Jai Schultz just in front of him. Adam Malone just in front of him. So a fairly interesting little battle just going to happen. You can see Ruben Phelps is really getting the pace on now, just able to drive underneath Jamie here. Phelps is looking very comfortable in that car at the moment. He did come in for a bit of extra fuel as well, so he's got a little bit less to worry about on the fuel stint side of things. Something we haven't touched on tonight, the fuel mileage of the cars. We're expecting about 65 laps of fuel. to get these cars around about 60, 65 laps into a stint. So it will come into play in the near future, of course. They've still got about 30 odd laps of fuel left in the tank, though. So still a lot of racing to come, and hopefully a lot of green flag racing as well. Toby Stent still plugging along there in P2. The gap's remained about the same. It's about 1.7 at the moment. And looks like Andrew Dyson's just playing a little bit possum. And he's still got some pace in that car for sure. Not as much as he would want from the start, but he's still able to set some good laps here and keep a nice, healthy lead of the race. Well out of range of any drafting capability, so he's not going to be offering any slipstream from the back of his car to the guys behind. They will be getting just a fairly hit of a bit dirty air. So he's keeping a nice gap at the moment out there, but running on his own like that, it will mean he's going to be using a little bit more fuel in the car. So it will probably need to come down pit road a little bit earlier than some of the others. Toby Stent there in P2, still keeping Dyson honest there and keeping the gap nice and close as we're just catching it up to the first of the lapped cars as well, as Derek Jacobs is the first car to get that not so wonderful honour tonight. The 99 there getting a lap down. The Inside Lane Productions 99, they're just getting down one lap, but still plugging along nicely at the moment.
Just on screen now is our car, Adam Ariel 515 in 20th position, mate. I must admit, some of these guys are turning out some great looking paint schemes for this season.
Absolutely, and paint jobs with sponsors, and it's nice to see the sponsorships on there. I know the Whitey's Pies is part of Adam Ariel's business as well. So nice to get that on screen, but it's a very nice looking car as well. It just everything pops out on it, nice and easy to spot as well. And yeah, there's been some fantastic paint jobs going up on throughout the field, and I'm sure we'll see a couple of those next week, Mark.
Yeah, definitely. I've had an insight to a few of them, and I can tell you some of the boys have done some great paint schemes for next week. Just had a red come up against Jai, but it looks like he's everything's all right. Yeah, some boys have really done some great paint schemes. Both the Australian and New Zealand drivers. I know Toby and Daniel and Ruben, our kit, and Norman, I believe, is working on some paint schemes. So it's going to be interesting to see exactly what our Kiwi brothers come up with from across the ditch. But I'm actually looking forward to it. I know I've been working hard in the background. I think that may be some of the gremlins that I've caused myself today in trying to get things ready for the next week. So yeah, as I said earlier, we start the show around 6 o'clock next week, and we pay homage to our fallen brothers in arms.
Absolutely, as Ruben Phelps makes a big move on Jai Schultz there. Phelps has got some great pace in that car at the moment. It looked like he has just saved a little bit in that car, and he's obviously having a bit more fuel on board, just giving him a little bit of confidence here. He's just catching on his teammate there, Jake Saddington. So Ruben Phelps, the flying Kiwi, is coming up very quickly here through the field as he just darts underneath Jake and makes the move, as Jai Schultz is looking to take advantage of that, as well as Jake was just being a little bit extra kind to his teammate, but he's left him up on the high side, and that's giving Jai Schultz the opportunity to sit right on the back of Ruben Phelps and try and sneak his way through. Saddington's not letting it go, though, at the moment. Jake is keeping the car on the outside, trying his best, but Jai has got the move done. Jake might be able to get it up and under here if he can just get off the corner. Gets a little bit more pace here. He's going underneath there. He's going to try the old switcheroo. Gets a nice run underneath Jai Schultz here. He might be able to get that position back as Jai runs up very high there. Got to be careful running up that high because it's going to get very, very tight on the exit very, very quickly. Keeping side by side here still. And it looks like Jake's just got that run back. Great racing here at Texas. Oh, a little bit of contact between Jai and Jake. That a little bit of a kiss there. Just say, look, that was fun. I'm going to get back at you, and I'll come back at the race. But Jake got that move done, and he's back up into P9. Jai dropping down to P10.
Mate, I've just got some red sections come up here for Ross Cheatham. But we'll stay with this because Jake's actually looks like he's got up into the wall there.
Big moment up front as well, as Adam Malone had a big slapper on. Jake clipped the wall just in front of them. Adam Malone and Ruben Phelps almost made contact as well. It took a bit of a deep breath for that one. Yeah, there's been a couple of very close calls, Mark, and I think a lot of it is to do with people just getting very tight on the exit, and then all of a sudden the car is snapping once they get through the corner. I reckon those tyres are starting to get into the not very comfortable range of the race. I feel like a few drivers are just starting to struggle a little bit with the rears.
Yeah, definitely. Might just duck back while we got a quiet moment and just see what actually happened here with Ross Cheatham.
So 24 here at Cheatham coming round the corner, and the rogue entry is always Mark. We've got to go back to live because he's just had a big tank slapper.
Yeah, you can see there he's
shedding bits of his car.
Yeah, he's going to need to come down pit lane because that. I'll see if I can get a outside shot of that right hand wheel. We can see him there, and you can see that right front wheel pointing in the wrong direction.
The Rogue Sim Sports driver having a big moment coming off the corner. I'm surprised we didn't get a caution for debris there.
We've got a replay, so we'll go back and have a look at it, mate.
So we'll see here coming off of 4. He gets very squirrely. Exactly what I was talking about. The car gets very tight, and then all of a sudden will just snap. And it's had that big snap there and thrown him right up into the wall on the quad oval, and that has been an end for that car.
You see there, yeah, you can see there, big tank slap.
Feels in contact with the road. Sometimes it makes it very tricky to stop. But I think that might be Ross Chatham's night over and done with. They might be able to get that car back out at some stage of this race, but it's going to be a long time down pit road.
Yeah, you can see there as we might just start zoom in there. That right front is definitely broken and will take a long time to repair. But we'll go back to live actions now. Carl, back onto Andrew Dyson. He's got that lead back out to just over 2 seconds again.
He's pulling up nicely for the lead. He's sort of getting some nice purchase off the corners at the moment. That car is looking very stable, and Dyson's very smooth driving style is coming to it's working out for him there. He's coming along nicely, but Toby Stent is sort of he's dropped back a little bit, but he's still keeping within a distance where Dyson's not going to be comfortable there. So that's going to be the main thing. Stevie Dub down pit lane. So we've got a first of our lead group of cars coming down pit road, and it is the 98 of Stevie Williams in the DPR entry, and he's coming in on lap 50, so a little bit earlier than we expected, but obviously he's decided he wants to get in, get some fresh boots on that car, possibly get some fuel in there and get back out on track. And it definitely looks like they're changing all 4 of those tyres with the amount of time he's in there. So it looks like Stevie Dub's got some fresh boots on the car. He's going to try a little bit of the undercut here, see if he can take advantage of some fresh tyres and maybe gain a few spots. We've got Jai Schultz in as well. He's seeing Stevie Dub pulling the pin. And I imagine we're going to see a lot of cars now trickling down pit lane in the next 4 or 5 laps. Oh, Judd just misses his pit box.
So that's not a good way to have your first pit stop, mate. So yeah, that's going to hurt him a bit. So
never fun when you miss your pit box. Easy to do in these cars, and look, it's a very tricky thing getting in and out of pit lane in these things. You look at it and you just think it's a very silly mistake. You know, how do you miss your pit box in a racing car? Obviously, the brakes are really good. These things, when you're coming down pit road, you're not using your brake out there really on this track. You might just give a slight tap in turns 1 and 2 just to try and get the nose dip down for a little bit of comfort. But other than that, you're pretty much just using the throttle to get these cars around. The only time you're going to use your brakes is if you see an accident in front of you or if you're coming down pit road. And of course, when you get on pit entry, that means your brakes are colder than ice. So you put your foot on the brakes, nothing happens. They just don't want to work at all. And that's why you see a lot of mistakes coming into pit lane. Some drivers will just try and drag their brake a little bit before they come onto pit road. It costs you a little bit of time on the track, but it can save you an awful amount of time when you come down pit road because you've got some nice warm brakes on the car and you're less likely to lock a wheel or struggle to get the brakes working. So sometimes when you see a driver just going a bit slower for a lap before, they might just be coming down pit road and getting that one done. But so far, just Stevie Dub and Jai Schultz, the two that have opted for their pit lane services at the moment. Everybody else still out there. We're on lap 56 of the Golden Octopus Foundation 400 here at Texas. It is the Lucas Oil's Australian Stock Car Championship here on Checkered Flag e-streaming.
Yeah, definitely. Mate, just having a look at Maxi Marshall here. Not a regular. He comes and goes. He's not a real big fan of the Cup car. He's more of a truck man and an 87s man. So good to see him back out there with the HydroLink backing in the yellow Ford Mustang.
Absolutely, and I mean, you know, there's not. I think the not fans of the current Cup car almost outweigh the fans of this thing. It's a car that's a little bit divisive at the moment, but it has brought us some really good racing here in the past year since the launch of the car. It's a very different beast to drive, and it has really changed things up. We've seen a lot of drivers get their hang of this quite quickly and make up some really good positions, and then some of the drivers that are absolute masters in some of the other cars just really struggling in this one. So it's a very different beast to drive, and it's it's one of those cars that you either it's a little bit of I'm going to say Marmite because I'm English, but for the Australian and New Zealand viewers, the Vegemite comparison. You either love it or you hate it, really.
Yeah, definitely. We'll just bring up the stint laps here on the vertical ticker. So we can see, excuse me, most of these guys in the top 10 have stayed out, or really the top 15 have remained out. So just a couple of those guys there that came in on that first caution to grab some fuel.
That's it. It was a very nice shot. No, very nice artistic shot there of the sun setting on the back of the Golden Octopus Foundation 015 of Brett Campbell there. Nice shiny reflective paint of the gold, of course, showing the beautiful setting sun in very nice ways there, Mark. So very, very artistically done.
Oh, I thank you, sir. But we're back up the front, and would you believe Dyson has stretched his legs now out to a 3-second gap, or nearly a 4-second gap now.
I can't imagine it's going to be long until we see this car pulling down pit lane. Of course, time under pace car will allow you to extend the stint length a little bit, but I imagine we'll see Dyson popping down pit lane in the next 4 or 5 laps. So we'll see how much he can extend this stint in the near future, but we'll see how that one goes. Maxi Marshall has decided it's time to pull the pin. He's going down pit lane at the moment, and just trying to keep an eye on cars that I think might be coming into pit road, just so we can jump on board, get a bit of an idea of the old entry and exit like. It's always a tricky thing trying to guess who's going to come down pit road, though, because you're always going to guess wrong, aren't you, Mark?
Yeah, definitely. You can always say, oh, yep, looks like this person, but just checking here. I'm getting some red flashes come up, but there's nothing I can see actually. So Maxi Marshall still in pit lane there. He's having quite a long stop.
I just saw. Yeah, he's having a very long stop there, Mark. So Maxi might have actually pulled out of this race, unfortunately. So we'll jump on to somebody else. Keep an eye on that one. It's Ryan Jones there. As Brett Campbell just gets a big whack on the quad oval, just on the front straight. Just saves that car. Not too much damage on the front. A little bit of a scratch on the Woody though, and the right side is not the ideal side for photos for the 015 at the moment. Still running along fine by the looks of it. That car doesn't look too badly hurt, but very nasty, very easy to have happen as well. As Brett was just keeping up to the high side just to let some leaders through, and it just threw the car a little bit higher than he was expecting. So that is a little bit of a battle wound for him, but he'll keep on fighting on in this one. We're on lap 65. 201 laps to go here tonight. And, well, how long until the leaders have to come down pit road, I wonder?
Well, our little spies have said to us between 60 and 65, but again, we found on Thursday night with the Anscar Cup race, mate, excuse me, those little birdies were lying to us because we were told about 110 laps, and Dyson got 150 laps out of a tank.
Yeah, I got about 65 to 68 laps of fuel. So with the caution flag coming out, then that is it. Toby Stent going to come down pit lane. Might want to jump on board here with him, get an idea of what it is like coming on the pit road as Toby Stent gets down, gets up to the right speed, onto the brakes heavily there. Ryan Jones just behind him as well. We'll watch it on board though for pit lane. Of course, no limiter on this car. It's all done by the right foot and keeping your eye on the speed limit. So you'll see drivers sometimes keep it in second gear down here once they get into their stall, just so they don't get too much tyres spinning up, and that's what Toby Stent's doing at the moment as he drops down into first as well. Up on the right side, up on the left side in a moment. Right, Jones just in front of him as Andrew Dyson's now pulling the pin, coming down pit road as well. And away he will be going very shortly. Gets away nicely. A little bit of wheel spin. Just has to chuck it into second gear after that little run in first because it was just taking too much wheel spin. Doesn't want to burn up the rear tyres too quickly, but gets away nicely. Joshua Carroll-Walden, the new leader of this race. The 35 is up front at the moment. And imagine he'll be popping in pit lane in the very near future. I can't imagine he's got too much more fuel in there. So I'd say our little spies have been relatively correct for the fuel mileage tonight, Mark.
Yeah, definitely, which is good to see. We don't have to get rid of them anytime soon now. So that's a good thing to see.
I was about to open up the gulag and take a couple of drivers out there just if they kept lying to us, but they're safe and they'll live another day. Yeah. As JCW is going to be popping in pit lane this time, I reckon. He's slowing the car down, and down the pit lane he comes. So in he comes. That's going to promote Ruben Phelps to the lead of this race. Remember, Ruben took a little bit of extra fuel on the car. Same with Lachlan Urquio. So they've probably got about another 8 laps or so of fuel in the cars. So they'll be able to go a little bit longer in this stint. And that can really pay off sometimes, being off cycle. Because if we see a caution flag come out, they are going to be able to come down pit lane without having to lose too much time. So they're just banking on being on a slightly different strategy here. 196 laps remaining. We're on lap 70. So again, it's going to be a thing of working out your fuel and working out where you can make it, where you can go, and how long you can make it as well. As just see coming out of pit road here.
what you've got to be careful of too, Carl, here is coming out of that pit road. It can get slippery on cold tyres.
It can indeed, Mark. And I just went a little bit quiet though, because Ruben Phelps had a very close moment as Andrew Dyson gets his lap back. That's important for Dyson right here. But Ruben Phelps had a very close moment as they were going 3 wide, just with the car exiting pit lane. And he just had to be a little bit cautious of that one. Jai Schultz now battling it out with Andrew Dyson, and Dyson just sails straight through on those fresher tyres. Jai Schultz, remember, has not taken a stop. He took his stop some 20 laps ago. So Jai made an awful amount of time. You can see just how far up the road he's got, as we've got one of the...
Peter Gretton, mate.
Peter Gretton coming in a bit slow there. Let's hope that everything is okay with that car.
You're only saying that because it's a Toyota.
I reckon he's run out of fuel. I reckon that's why he's coming in slow.
We haven't got our inside spy tonight. Sarah isn't tuned in, so we can't find out in the background.
No, Peter Gretton's run out of fuel. That's why he's cruising along so quietly, because that car has gone into stealth mode because it ran out of fuel. He made 70 laps out of the tank, but could not make more than that, and that's going to be a costly mistake running the tank dry like that, because that will drop the car. That's going to lose an awful amount of time. So a costly mistake there from Peter. Just did not time his fuel right. Meanwhile, Ryan Jones just getting past Lachlan Urquio there for his lap back. Ryan Jones trying to get his laps back, of course. Stevie Dubb has got about a second lead over Andrew Dyson at the moment. So those early stops did pay off a little bit. So coming in a little bit earlier, trying to take advantage of that undercut. It has worked, but they're now paying the price as those cars that came in a little bit later have got much fresher tyres, as we see Brett Campbell now coming in for his service. And I think I just heard on the radio, Lachlan Urquio's decided he's pulling the pin in at the 42 as he comes down pit road as well. Won't be too much longer until we see his teammate Ruben Phelps having to pop in and get a tank of gas. Same goes for Brad Fenley, Tristan Koch as well. The 4 cars out there that have not come down pit road yet. They've stuck it out for a little bit longer, seeing if they can get a lucky caution here tonight. As we see the 42 launching away after getting it serviced by the mobile brake and mechanical crew.
Just going to say that staying out that fraction longer has probably hurt him a little bit, because he's now dropped that back down in behind Cole Turner. Once everyone's cycled through, I'd say, just trying to find where Dyson is at the moment. So Dyson's back up in the 3rd place. So he'll retake the lead once Ruben Phelps and Brad Fenley come in the pit lane.
He will. He's just got past Stevie Dubb, and Stevie Dubb's now just been passed by Toby Stent as well. Toby Stent's about all Ruben Phelps has had a shocker of a pit stop. Sorry, missed his pit box. He's had to chuck it into reverse, chuck it back into drive, and get in that box correctly. But Toby Stent, he's lost a bit of time on Dyson. Not too much, but Dyson's just pulled out that lead a little bit further. And it won't be long until he catches Brad Fenley actually on the road itself. But I imagine Brad's going to be pulling into pit lane to get the Aussie Beer Motorsport car filled up with a little bit more go juice and getting to the end of the race, because he's a little bit, he's fairly long in this stint. And he must be running on vapours at the moment.
So he's showing 70 laps on this stint. So I think he's coming down pit lane now. Yep, he pulls it down below that white line and he's in pit lane.
Managed the longest stint of anybody out there. So it's a fairly hefty stint. Derek Jacobs still out there on 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 a fairly long stint. He's about 69 laps in, he's almost on lap 70. So he might be able to get the fuel saving award if he can take it an extra lap or two.
He's in now.
But he's coming in as well. So Andrew Dyson up into the lead of the race once more, as he's just getting past Ross Cheatham, who's back out there. Ross has managed to get that car back out into the race, get some repairs done, and get back out there. So that's going to be a damage recovery race run for him tonight, unfortunately, but he will be trying to get those points scored, of course.
I just looking at the points here. If Ross finishes the race tonight, he will retain the rookies leading the rookies championship over Jake Saddleton. So I know that he's keen to win that rookie of the year. So yeah, it's good to see him back out there and circulating.
I'd say it's a nice thing. I mean, we like to see some of our younger drivers out there and really going for it as well. You know, they might not be going for the victories overall, but they're learning on the track, which is what you need to do out there to get those improvements, to get to victory lane, of course. And look, getting that Rookie of the Year title is a crucial part of that as well. So always nice when you can get that notch next to your name. Never know, I might free myself from the commentary booth one day and try to get that myself.
Definitely worthwhile. Get your name up there on the web page, and if anyone wants to go check our web page out, of course you can at www.weekendwarriorsascc.com.
Absolutely, head there for all the latest news and all the information, of course, and always a good place. Toby Stenton's starting to close his gap on this stint. He's getting the gap down to just below 2 seconds, so he's gained a little bit of time on Dyson in the pit box as well. So this is good news for Toby Stent, although he is on a slightly older set of tyres by 1 lap, so he will be, you know, it won't be too much difference here at Texas, but it will be a little bit of a factor come later in this race. It means that Dyson can go just that extra lap longer and might get a lucky run if the caution flag were to fly when he was sitting out there. But at the moment, it's been very green stuff. Seen just the 1 caution so far, which is always nice. As Jake Sangton has a bit of a slide off the exit of 2 there. Almost the curse of the commentator there. Mid-corner there, just coming up through turns 1 and 2. Sallington getting up high to get out of the way of Andrew Dyson. Gets onto the marbles. And that car gets very, very squirrely. But he saves it very well there. Nice job by Jake. Another one of those drivers competing for the Rookie of the Year title. And look, always nice to see, as we say, some fresh faces, fresh blood coming into the sport. And, well, man is absolutely owning it this year. He's really come on leaps and bounds, Toby Stent. He's drawn his line in the sand and really been coming on well. Ryan Jones there in the 11, always quick and always good to watch. And he's been just a bit unlucky in his past few races not to make it to the top step of the podium. He'd be pretty happy if he can get a good run tonight.
Well, it's Ryan's first run with us tonight, mate. So it's good to see him coming out and having a run with the Warriors. And he may be well, he's definitely at the moment in the position for a podium, but we've still got a long way to go.
That's it. A lot of laps to go here. 178, in fact. So there's a lot of racing still to come here tonight on Checkered Flag e-streaming. So make sure to keep up with that and hit the subscribe button, the usual things that we say on social media, just to make sure you catch all the events coming up in the near future, and also to keep up with all the fantastic racing here for the Weekend Warriors series, some of the finest cup racing, especially for long mileage stuff as well. And seeing Adam Malone there running in 6th position. It's just got a little bit of a gap over Stevie Dub as well. And Malone is on much fresher tyres too, so he's going to be able to extend that too. Stevie Dub there came in very early for his stop, made it work, got a lot of positions, but now he's paying the price as his tyres are starting to die off, and he's going to think about coming down pit road in about 20 or so laps. Kai Turner working his way back up through the field nicely there after getting caught out earlier on with the first caution, bringing that flag out, but having a good recovery drive, getting up to P8 now, where he started, but he's had to recover for that spot, and he's getting some good lap time in that car. Josh Schultz just behind him in P9, again having a solid run tonight. He's running...
Sorry, just as we swapped went to him, we see him come out of turn 4 and get very taily there through the through the tri-oval, mate. And yeah, these guys now back up on the 40 lap old tyres, and they're starting to get loose in the rear end again.
Yeah, it's getting to that stage once more, and there's so many cars on slightly different strategies as well. As you know, Kai Turner, Jai Schultz is sort of on a very similar strategy at the moment to everybody else, which is not what we usually expect from Jai. He's the master of the counter strategy, but the cars get very, very loose very, very quickly, and these cup cars can be absolute monsters to try and save. Lachlan Acquia having a good recovery as well in the SRM machine. And you can see he's flying up the field. He's on some of the freshest tyres out there. The only car with fresher boots is Ruben Phelps behind him. And Derek Jacobs, of course, who made a monster stint too. So Ruben Phelps is going to start climbing up the field very, very quickly. Watch out for Norman Clark behind him too. Norman Clark, he got a very nice stint length in. He's on some fresh tyres as well compared to some of those other drivers around him. So Norman Clark could be a driver to keep an eye out for, as well as Jamie Nankervis. So those two might have a bit of a run in the near future. We'll keep our eyes peeled for that action.
Jake Saddleton there having a good run up in the 14th spot. He's the first car a lap down, so should we see a caution, we will see him get his lap back in that lucky dog. Adam Ariel is also there, the second car on a lap down, still circulating. Gary Wellman there, having a good run. Brad Finley in 17th. Tristan Koch, the first of the drivers that are 2 laps down. Just not his night tonight. He's just not been able to get that car settled by a few incidents. Brett Campbell still circulating after that nice long rub on the outside wall. Doesn't look to be harming him too bad. But with a long distance race like this, 400 mile, you can never count out anyone that's under 3 laps down. Once you start getting into that 3 lap down section, it's very hard to fight your way back.
Just might jump up to the front. Joshua Carroll and Ryan Jones getting very close to each other at the moment. These two having a great battle. Ryan Jones was just bump drafting Joshua Carroll across the front section of the track, and really starting to put the pressure on JCW at the moment. So these two starting to get very close to each other, and we've seen these two racing with each other quite a lot in the past week. So it's back to... It's often the way you find in racing, isn't it? You tend to be racing the same guys constantly. So, oh yeah, there's about 20 other cars in the field. I won't see this person, and it's always the way. As soon as you get about 20 or 40 laps into a race, there you are, connected by magnets. But Ryan Jones is putting the pressure on JCW at the moment.
And just as we see the sun finally starting to set and the lights start to take some effect here, Carl. So we'll be under lights very shortly as we jump on board with Ryan Jones, just to watch him and the way he drives this I think he's in a Chevrolet, so
Yeah, Ryan is very, very quick, and he's one of those drivers that just always keeps just niggling away, gets those little improvements. He sort of might find he's got a little bit of a fault somewhere, but he'll always work on it just to improve that as well, and putting in the hard work. And he's lucky in the fact he's got a lot of pace in his car and a lot of pace in his driving as well. He's a very quick driver, and he can use that to his advantage. And then if he finds any little chinks in his armor, he can just start working on them and just starts ironing out all those little things. And you see it with Ron Jones. Once he gets into the rhythm of things, he can get very, very quick and just gets into this zen-like state of just getting faster and faster. And he's been improving over the years. It's nice to see. And at the moment, he's having a really good run just behind JCW. Daniel Hedershaw is a little bit further up. You can see quite a lot of lap traffic up in front of these guys at the moment. Quite a lot of car action going on in front. Brett Campbell and Ross Cheatham are just between those two cars, and they keep it up nice and high at the moment just to let those leaders, front runners through. But as I say, you just got to be cautious of that because it's very easy to get debris on the tyre and start to struggle and find yourself out in the wrong spot too quickly and find yourself up into the wall.
We can just see Jake Saddleton get very loose up there in front of these two guys, and you've seen the awareness of Ryan Jones. He jumped right off the gas and let those revs drop in anticipation for should have there been an accident there. And we can see him, he's starting to really slide out of turn 4 there through the start of the triover. We can see him really working that steering wheel back to the right. So let's hope he doesn't keep that up, because that will start to really hurt his tyres, and he's on lap 36 of this stint.
Yeah, you got to be, just got to try and keep it as smooth as possible because it's just, it's so very tricky. But everybody is through safely, and they're still chugging along.
Just on the nose cam here at the moment, so a nice close shot of the track.
Get a real sense of the speed as well when you're sitting on that right on that nose, and it really makes you think. You appreciate just how quick these cars are going, hitting up to just over 300 kilometers per hour in the straightest sections of the track. They are really hurling along at some pace. And you don't always appreciate just how quick these things are going when you're watching them from outside. But once you get up close to the nose and you start seeing how quickly the scenery is passing you by, you realise just how fast these things are going.
So we're on board now, JCW, looking backwards at Ryan Jones from underneath the car. So and we can see the different lines that these guys are taking, and the guys behind them are taking also. Ryan gets right down onto that, the apron, I guess you can call it, through 1 and 2. He stays a little fraction higher here through 3 and 4, but right out as close to the wall.
Yeah, very different lines you can take, and it's another little nuance of oval racing is, these slightly different lines, they can make a huge difference on the way the car runs through the stints. And, sometimes taking a slightly tighter line can just wear the tyres off a little bit quicker. Sometimes taking a slightly higher line can just stop them running in quite as quickly, but it can hurt your fuel mileage a little bit. And, there's so many little things that you've got to do in these cars to get them going around, especially at front runner pace. It's not easy to do by any means.
We'll check back up here at the front. Andrew Dyson out there by himself again tonight. Really just hasn't been too phased by anyone, and he now has lapped everyone up to position 13. So a great drive from Dyson tonight.
Yeah, almost a 3-second lead now. Well, over a 3-second lead over Toby Stent in P2. So Dyson is just absolutely hammering along at the moment. He's in his happy place, you've got to say. He's just looking very, very comfortable in that car.
So I wonder if a few of these blokes are now regretting asking for these races to be blown out to the 400 mile. Be a little bit boring out there because they're fairly well spread out at the moment. But we jump back here with 11th place man Jamie Nankervis and his teammate Norman Clark from the Black Arrows. So just circulating, getting points.
Chugging along nicely in 11th and 12th at the moment. They're the final two cars on the lead lap, so they're trying to keep ahead of the ever-closing gap of Andrew Dyson, who's just a couple of cars back. So they're just going along nicely, and I mean, caution flag wouldn't be too upsetting for a few of these drivers at the moment, but you'd say Andrew Dyson will be hoping it runs nice and green for a long time here because he's had some great pace. Lap 112, 154 remaining here for the Golden Octopus Foundation 400 at Texas. There's, of course, the Lucas Oil's Australia Stock Car Championship here on Checkered Flag e-streaming. And I wonder if we're going to start seeing drivers popping down pit lane in the near future. Just starting to try and get a little bit of undercut going on. Just trying to divide their race as well. We're on 153, so we're on lap 113, I should say. We've got 153 remaining.
Ryan Jones is in.
So
again, these guys are really having some issues tonight pulling these cars up in these pit bays.
Well, the other issue of the pit bay is, Mike, you can see it on screen at the moment, of course. You're going onto concrete, of course, and it's quite chilly out there. So it's a very slippery surface, and it doesn't quite have the same grip level as the asphalt. So it's a very different grip feeling of the car, and it can sometimes just make the car slide a little bit. The reason they have the concrete booth in there is because there's a lot of braking force going on, and it tends to damage the asphalt quite quickly. So you have the concrete surface there to stop it rippling too much. But I was about to say, we might be seeing drivers come down pit lane in the very near future because they can just start to split their race up from here and make it into a sort of a couple of 50-lap stints. So they can just get through a little bit longer. So it'll be interesting to see what they do from this point. But they're going to be tight on tyres towards the end of this race. So it'll be interesting to see who can make their tyres last very well. I think you want to try and get the stint length as long as possible to get as much life out of those tyres as you possibly can.
And as you said, mate, we've only seen one caution so far this race. So normally towards the end of these longer stints, longer races, we start to see guys start to lose their concentration a little bit. And we may see a few more cautions towards the end of this race. And they'll want a good set of tyres at the end. So I'm just wondering if anyone will risk a double stint on a set of tyres so they can come in should we get that late race caution.
I think I think a double stint might be too. It's just going to lose you an awful lot of time. They can sort of. I think it's not worth the risk because you're gonna end up dropping yourself by a good almost maybe 2 laps if you do that. I think so. It could be a little bit it could be a big risk to take, but it could pay off, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. Well, mate, I can tell you, we've still got 21 cars out there circulating. Uh, 11 cars on the lead lap. Norman Clark there is about to be lapped by Dyson, so we will have 10 cars on the lead lap. It's not the worst race that's ever happened. I can remember at Daytona, I think it was there in real life, that there was only one car on the lead lap. So it's fairly good racing so far.
As we see Stevie Dubb coming in pit lane. It's managed about 67 laps in this stint, and that's all green flag racing. So that's really crucial information for us. It tells us that these guys can go to about 67 laps on a tank of fuel. So I'm just going to do some mathematics.
Take
quickly.
your shoes off.
Yeah. Need to get a housemate coming in here as well.
So we see Stevie Dubb, of course, taking all 4 tyres and a full tank of gas.
So he's going to need to come in for a splash to make it to the end. So he's going to be shy by about 10 laps. So they're going to want to get to about 10 more laps out of the tank to get home with just two stops. Otherwise, they're going to have to make a quick splash and dash. So that is interesting to know. So currently, most of the front runners are going to be able to do that. The drivers that are going to be quite comfortable in their stint lengths are going to be Ruben Phelps and Lachlan Urquio. They've got a good 10 or so laps of extra fuel in the tank. So this could be an interesting finish, because if Ryan Jones, for instance, I think he's going to have to make a splash and dash to get to the end on 2 more stops from here. So he's going to be banking on a caution to come out. So this could make it quite interesting.
Yeah, I was going to say, as you were going through those sums, mate, if we do get a caution, it's going to throw spanner in the works for some, but it's going to help people like Stevie Dubb that is just those 10 laps short.
That's it. They're sort of banking on a caution right now. They're going to make up a lot of time in this stint, because they're going to have some fresh boots on. They're going to be able to make some fresh runs. They're going to be able to set the times alike. Ryan Jones just setting a 30.3. That's the difference of fresh tyres right now, is a good second pace difference on track. So, that tells us what we need to know about fresh tyres. They're a good second a lap quicker than the tyres on the drivers out there at the moment. So after about 60 or so laps, they lose about a second of speed. But it's going to be crucial to get to lap 134 before popping down pit lane, because otherwise you're going to be just a little bit shy of fuel, and it's going to be uncomfortably so. It's going to be that sort of lacking of fuel where you just won't be even trying to save it as much as you can on a green flag stint. You're going to be struggling.
Yeah, definitely, mate. I can't lay my hands on some information, but I do believe that may even be a race record there for Andrew Dyson.
What way?
In the quickest lap.
Oh yeah. He beat that quite a few laps ago, actually. He did a fastest lap of 30.072. A good 0.3 quicker than last year's lap record by last year's fastest laps, I should say, of Edward Foster, 30.376. So about 0.3 of a second they've gained.
So I wonder if that will see Mr. Foster come back next time we come back here later on in the season. See if Mr. Foster can come out and take that track record back for the fastest lap in the race.
That's it. He's gonna have to remove his slippers, take his pipe out of his mouth, and actually come racing. So it throws down the gauntlet. So it'll be interesting to see how that one goes. just heard on the race radio, I think Norman Clark might be needing to come down pit road. So he's pulling into pit lane at the moment. And he's going to get some gas in the tank. But this is going to be... It's sort of needed to go a little bit further to get that fuel to the end. And it's sounding like a lot of people are needing to come down pit lane as well. So maybe that stint of Stevie Dub was a bit of a false one, because it looks like he's able to save a little bit more fuel than some of the others, because it seems like a fair few people are struggling. So they really need to get about 4 or 5 more laps of fuel out of these cars. Otherwise, they're going to have to make a splash and dash to make 2 more stops.
Just looking at the rear end of Storm and Norman's car there, and this paint scheme seems to become a real thing for Norman Clark, with the Storm and the Lightning on the rear of the car. I must say, Carl, it does look impressive.
It's a very nice looking car indeed, with the old green Lightning sparking across it. Colours of plasma. Plasma weapons. So no, it's a very nice looking car out there, and it's a nice and distinctive car as well. It makes it easier to spot, which is always nice. Although sometimes at a very, very vast distance, like I can get it confused with Gary Wellman, who's just a couple of cars behind at the moment in the Sim Boys entry. So it's going to be crucial for these leaders to get a good couple of laps of extra fuel here. Daniel Hederscheid and Joshua Carroll-Walden are looking okay. I think Dyson and Stent are going to be in trouble here. I reckon they're going to need to make a splash and dash, which could easily cost them the race.
Yeah, I guess they'd be looking towards the end. Stent's in now. I've just picked up on him coming into pit lane. I guess they will hope for
just jump on board with Andrew Dyson at the moment, because he is fuel saving very, very hard.
I've lost the cockpit camera. There it is.
I just listening to this car, and it just sounded like he was really trying to save a little bit of extra fuel in the car, and he's just rolling out the throttle much earlier.
Well,
he's no longer shifting gear.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you can see there he's dropping that rev counter right down to just over 6,000 RPM. Very easy on the gas.
Doesn't even sound like he's getting up to full throttle at some stages, because I think he's trying to save it, and I think he's coming into pit lane.
Yep.
So he is actually a few laps shy. So he's a good couple of laps shy of making it to the end on 2 more stops here. So that is going to be very tricky indeed. He's done about 66 laps. So that means he's going to need to make about 4 or 5 laps of fuel to get to the end of this race. And that's a big ask in this car to do that. So he is going to be really struggling to get to the end of this race. By my maths, he's about 10 laps shy. So quickly in my head there, about 8 or 10 laps shy. So that's a huge amount of fuel to try and save to get to the end. So he could be in a little bit of trouble here.
I've just jumped on board here with Daniel Hederscheid, and you can see he is not in the fuel save mode.
He's been getting... looks like he's got a little bit... He's coming into pit lane now. Yep. So...
Oh, a big cross up there. Got to get it slowed down before that cone, otherwise he will. And he's been able to do that. But he got crossed up coming into that pit lane then.
Yeah, that was a little bit worrisome. So I said watch out for Joshua Carroll-Walden. He's managing to get a little bit longer in this stint. So he's going to be able to get... I think he's just going to be able to creep up to that point. It's going to be tight, and if there's a green white checker, he's going to have to come in. But he's very much on that sort of... he could just about make it to the end. The two that are looking good right now are Lachlan Urquio and Ruben Phelps. They both came in under that first caution, remember, Mark? They topped up their tanks, and they have got a few more laps in there. They should be good to make it they should be a lot more happy to make it to the end of this race.
Yeah, well, Lachlan's on lap 62 as he crosses the strike now on this stint, and Ruben is a couple laps better off. He's be crossing the strike for lap 60 on this stint. So these two, you are 100% right, Carl. These two are in the box seat.
They are looking very, very good if this race runs green to get to the end of this race. Of course, a long way still to go. 128 laps, in fact, still to go here for the Golden Octopus Foundation 400 here at Texas. And of course, a big thank you and shout out to the Golden Octopus Foundation. They are doing wonders and really helping out children and the families of children who are battling that worst thing of all, the horrible C word, cancer, of course. And they put in a lot of effort to help battle and help support the families who are going through that. So a fantastic cause. And you could just see just in the top of your screen there, Brett Campbell just behind him, running the Golden Octopus car and paint job on the car as well. And look, a very worthy foundation as well. And look, it's a foundation that's helped a fair few members and Brett himself. So we really do put out a big thank you to them. And we hope that we can give them a good race. And I just heard on the radio, Lachlan Urquio is going to need to come into pit lane now. So he's made it about 64, 65 laps on this stint. So he's going to have to do a little bit of cautious driving just to make it to the end with a nice chunky tank in there. But the man that's looking very good to the end, that does not need to really worry too much about fuel saving, is the Kiwi that likes to fly. It's Ruben Phelps. He has got up there, and he's got he's on 63rd lap of this stint, so he's just going to take in a couple of laps extra. He's going to have a nice amount of fuel in the tank, and he should be sitting pretty for this one. So watch out for all this twine shake. Ryan Jones is up there in P2 now. He stopped very early, of course. He used the undercut to his advantage and has got ahead of Andrew Dyson using that tactic. But he's going to be needing to see a caution flag fly to get it to the end. Otherwise, he's going to have to make an extra trip down pit lane. Of course, he could make it work. It's going to be tricky, though. Well, it's a very hard thing to do. It's going to be very, very tricky indeed. He's just seeing Lachlan Urquio pull out just in front of him. So Lachlan's just kept ahead of these guys as well, which is crucial for him because that means he's going to be on the lead lap still once Ruben Phelps comes into pit lane. So this is going to be an interesting run to the end, and there's a lot of different strategies at play here tonight. So a lot of different things to look forward to here for the Lucas Oil's Australian Stock Car Championship. It is the Weekend Warriors here on Checkered Flag Eastern as Andrew Dyson makes the move past Ryan Jones. Andrew Dyson on much, much fresher tyres. He's got a nice tank of gas in there. Makes that look relatively easy. Not much Ryan Jones could do. He knew that. He didn't push too hard there because it's a bit silly to overdo it in those situations, and he's keeping the car nice and steady at the moment. Ruben Phelps, I imagine, is going to be coming down pit lane very, very shortly. Won't be long until we see the SRM car pulling down pit road, and the mobile breaker mechanics will be getting mobile once again for this race, jumping out over the barrier and getting the job done.
He heard you there, mate, so he's in pit lane now.
I can't confirm or deny that I am the crew chief for them. Ruben Phelps pulling in right here. Will he get in nice and smoothly into pit lane? Gets stopped perfectly. A little bit slow into the box, but just taking it relaxed and calm. You're only going to lose time if you jump past your stall. He's just come in there nice and relaxed. Got the pit stop done nicely. Gets away there. Gets the car away nice and smooth as well and back up to racing speeds. as Andrew Dyson will go flashing past him any second now. There's Lachlan Uccio just getting past, and there's Andrew Dyson. So that means that Ruben Phelps is the first car a lap down. He needs to get out there, get past Dyson, make sure he's locked into the lead lap, as Ryan Jones will just get past as well. He's up to speed. But he's going to want to get back up there and make sure he's on at that lead lap, just in case that caution flag flies. But he is going to be praying that we go green to lap 266 here. 119 laps remaining. And look, if we go green, they're going to be looking very good at the end. Yeah,
definitely. And, mate, I'm going to say we've got a bit of a surprise. A person that we haven't spoken about a lot tonight, if the camera will change, is Adam Malone. He's actually worked his way up into 4th place. So a great run there by the Southern Stars driver to come from buried in the field. I'm just trying to see where he started.
Adam Malone started down in P5, so
P5.
Solid run tonight.
So we might just bring up driver summary. So the lowest position he's down to 21st tonight, and been able to work his way back up to 4th place now.
Yeah, he's sitting in a good position at the moment, Adam Malone. He's been out a couple more laps than Daniel Hederscheid, so he's sort of another one of those drivers that's in a bit of a limbo position. He's going to need to come down pit lane an extra time tonight to get to the end, but he's having a solid run up there in the top 5 of the race. Jai Schultz just behind. He's getting towards the end of his stint in 6th position. So he's going to be needing to come down pit lane in the next 10 or so laps, I'd say, 10, 15 laps. So he's in that sort of position where he's in an unenviable spot where he's going to have to make an extra stop. But he's having a solid run out there at the moment, as Joshua Carroll-Walden just sets the fastest lap of the race. He decided, no, I want the fastest lap in tonight's race. He just gets down into the 30.047. So some pace in that blue Natari entry at the moment, as he gets the fastest lap of the race. Next fastest laps are between Andrew Dyson and Toby Stent. 1 millionth of a second between those two cars. You've got Andrew Dyson on a 30.070 and Toby Stent on his 30.071. So not much between those cars up there. Will we see anybody dip into the 29s, I wonder? It looks like it might just be possible, but it's got to all be in the right, fall in the right way.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean to say, it would be nice to see one of these guys drop into the 29, because that will be a tough time to beat for the bonus time, bonus point, I should say. I knew what I meant.
As long as you know what you mean, that's the main thing.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we got a bit of a lull, Carl. We might just run through what we've got coming up on Checkered Flag e-streaming and over on our sister channel, Performance e-streaming this week. Again, a lot of Anzac stuff going on for Anzac Day. So tomorrow night, we've got the Weekend Warriors 87s race, but that's not telecast just at the moment. But we head to tomorrow night. We head over to Performance e-streaming, and we go V8 racing on ovals. That has been a great series so far this year.
Absolutely, and it's going to be the final round of the first season of the championship for this year as well. So it's the final round, and it is the Charlotte race, which is a part of the Crown as well. The Crown of events to get all those extra bonuses as well, and always nice to get the Triple Crown title as well. Will anybody manage to get all 3 races under their belt? It will be the 12th round of the Australasian Supercar E-Series on Sunday night. Then we head off to the trucks on Monday, back on Checkered Flag E-Streaming as Lachlan. Yeah, they're just getting past Jai Schultz, getting positions made as well. He's coming up on Kai Turner as well. We've seen a little bit of sparks between Kai Turner and Lachlan Oakley at the start of this race. And this time round, Kai Turner just sits up in the middle of the track. He knows he's not got much pace at the moment to fight the 42. And through he goes underneath the 408 there. But the trucks are going to be coming to us from North Wilkesboro.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. We got some really good short track drivers there in the trucks. And yourself, Carl, you are back out in the truck this week. So it'd be good to see you back there having another good battle.
Yeah, hopefully I don't lose vision in one of my eyes this week. So I overdid it a bit last week for Easter, and I don't think I'm going to be trying to race a race before the truck race, because that made the old body not want to react with me. The joys of health issues. Then on Wednesday night, it will be the Thunder Series. It is the Xfinity Series for the ANSCAR. The ANSCAR Thunder on Performance E-Streaming, and that's going to be at I've drawn a mental blank.
Where was it? I can't remember myself. I know the Cup's on Thursday nights at Talladega.
Yeah. If you give me a moment, I'm going to go hunt down my calendar, because I don't have these things sitting up in front of me all the time. It's easy to forget things that are going on. Just waiting for that to come up. It's at Dover. That's correct.
The Monster Mile, the cement the cement circle.
Yeah. So are we going to see you out for the Monster Mile, Mark?
Yes, I hope to be. I've just got to organise a few things for next week for Anzac Day. So, but yeah, I will definitely be attempting to get out there to the Monster Mile.
Absolutely. And then we round off the week. It's odd that we round off the week on a Thursday, but that's kind of how our schedules work in that respect. For like, it almost feels like that's the end of the week, I find, and then Saturday is the start of my week. The joys of much broadcasting stuff, but we are at Talladega for the ANSCAR Cup, of course, and always a bit of a lottery on the super speedways, but they can bring us some great racing. So the Cup cars in the ANSCAR Cup will be coming to us from Talladega, and then of course next Saturday even, it will be the Anzac round of the Lucas Oil Australian Stock Car Championship, Mark.
Yeah, definitely, and it's one of the very few weekends, or I should say weeks, where both us and the ANSCAR Cup race on the same track in the same week. So it's going to be interesting to see how many guys come across. But it's a big week for the Warriors next week, because we have qualifying on Tuesday night, the one night where not a lot of guys race, and then Friday night we will be telecasting one of the duels that will set the grid for the Anzac Cup.
Absolutely, it will be the duels on Friday night. So we, of course, I keep forgetting about that as well. Of course, Friday is not my weekend anymore. It's we will have that coming to us, and looking forward to the duels. They always give us some interesting action going on. Just watching at the moment, I'm just watching Daniel Heddershide. He's got Brad Fenley all over the back at him. Fenley has come in for some fresher boots, I think. So he's got some good pace at the moment, Brad. He's 2 laps down, but the VB car has got some really good pace and is actually putting pressure on Daniel Heddershide. But yeah, with the duels coming up, of course, it's always fun. And then the big event itself on Saturday, Mark.
Yeah, definitely. And as I said, we're getting underway an hour earlier there, where the pre-show will start at 6 o'clock. And as I said, we're hoping to have a special guest, Grand Marshal, for that race. and then the race will get underway at 6:30. And so be sure not to miss any of it. And Andrew Dyson is the current reigning champion and race winner for that race. So he is the only car that is guaranteed a starting spot in the race if he chooses.
Absolutely. It'll be interesting to see how he goes. Of course, Super Speedway is a very different race to this one. But Andrew Dyson, at the moment, he has got a 5 and a bit second lead out the front. So we have enough airtime here. Andrew Dyson up the front in the 41, of course. He's having a solid run up there. And good 5 and a bit second lead. As we see Ryan Jones and Adam Malone just making positions, and Ryan Jones just falling back a little bit here, just on those older tyres. He's getting towards the end of his stint as well, so he's going to have to think about getting into pit lane in the very near future. So we've got a couple of cars popping down pit lane, as Ryan Jones, I think, might be pitting in this time round.
Which
I think I saw that on the radio,
he's only done 53 laps, so he still can't get home. We've still got over or just under 100 laps, so he will have to pit again. So
yeah,
he's
splitting this stint into about 50 odd lap stints. So I wonder if he's trying, if he might even try a double stint on the tyres or something a little bit different, just to have an extra set up his sleeve just in case. So we might see Ryan Jones just trying something a little bit different here, because he sort of just keeps himself off sequence.
Yeah, and, just looking though, Carl, he's only been down pit lane twice, so this is only his third set of tyres, so he's still got another 2 sets. So if he can, and definitely I've missed that. I don't think he took tyres then, did he?
He took tyres. I reckon he was 15 seconds in pit lane. But we might see some of these. I wonder if we're going to see some of the front runners come in a little bit early here and try and get an undercut on Dyson, because they're all going to have to make another stop. They all have to make another stop, apart from they've just got to make 2 more stops. They'll have to stop and stop again. So 2 more stops in this race for a fair few cars. It will be interesting to see if anybody tries for a little bit of an undercut here and tries to take advantage of that. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what people do. We've got 96 laps remaining.
I can tell you at the moment out there, Carl, is which I'm a bit surprised, Stevie Williams and Jamie Nankervis are getting up over 300 kilometres an hour, and same with Ryan Jones. Everyone else is just touching the 300k mark, so they have found some speed on those old tyres.
I think they're also not too concerned about fuel saving as well. I think that's a big difference in these 2 cars. Stevie Dubb's got to stop again, of course. He's managed to get quite a few laps in his car as well. He's been the king of fuel saving in this race. He's managed to get a couple of extra laps over everybody else. But he's about 50 odd laps into this stint, so it won't be long until he has to make his trip down pit lane. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what people do here. I think their best option though is going to be those guys that need to stop twice. I think their best option is coming in a little bit earlier rather than taking it to the very max, just to try and get a little bit more time on those fresh tyres, because they're going to need to make up pace and time over Urquio and Phelps, I reckon.
Yeah, definitely. I think you may be correct there, mate. They have to do something, but the other person too that they have to be careful of, even though you say he's got to come down and maybe take a splash, you can never count out Mr. Dyson.
He's almost 40 laps into this stint, so he's definitely got to make that splash. But it's just how much time he can make up. So it's going to be interesting to see what he can do against Phelps and Pio, because I think they might be in for a solid position. But of course, if Dyson can keep the pace right up, then he might be able to just take advantage of that. Ruben Phelps and Lachlan Akpe are about 24 seconds off of Andrew Dyson at the moment, so they need to keep that gap as close as possible. So, coming down pit road is going to cost you at least about 35, 40 seconds. So, it's going to be very, very close at the end, I reckon. We should be in for a grandstand finish here, Mark. And what I might do is I might just throw it over to you for a couple of moments, as I just need to take a bit of a stretch.
Yep, no worries, mate. You get up and stretch those legs. We definitely don't want you cramping up and dropping out on us. So we'll jump back up the front and just have a look at Dyson at the moment. Just nice and easy. I'll jump on board with him. When you see, again, he's just not really pushing it through the turns. Hard on the gas, well, not hard, but nice and easy back onto the gas through the tri-oval. Right off the gas, you can see the revs drop, nearly down to 6,500 revs. Back on the gas, nice and easy. So he is in fuel save mode. And he's coming up to put Kai Turner a lap down, and that will be everyone up to 8th place that he has been able to pass tonight. And we can see just now he's got past Kai Turner. He is coming, chasing down Jai Schultz there in the 27 car. And unfortunately that will put Jai 2 laps down. Jake Saddington having a good run, solid. He was talking to us this afternoon and he said all he wants to do is get around, get more laps under his belt. He's enjoying the racing and would like to see some more up front finishes. So he's not that far, he's in 14th at the moment, so he is working towards a top 10, but as I said, unfortunately he is 2 laps down at the moment, so he's got some work to do. Adam Malone, and we're missing his teammate tonight, Darren McKenzie, in the identical paint but a blue paint scheme. It's good to see Adam back up there towards the front. He's currently in 4th. Back to Lachlan, good solid drive there in a 5th place at the moment, and right behind Lachlan we have his teammate Ruben Phelps, the flying Kiwi. I can definitely tell you that you want to tune in next Saturday night. I know Ruben has done a fantastic paint job for the Anzac round. All those SRM boys have got some great paints. And the other person that we're missing tonight is Kobe Jordan. I know that team, that inside lane production team, has been working hard on their paints. So well done to them. The other person that I will mention about his paint is our golden octopus man. You won't see that golden car out there next week. He has gone to a very different paint scheme for next week, but I'm not going to reveal anything about it. So back up front here we've got Toby Stent still in 2nd place. Just over 8 seconds in front of him is Andrew Dyson. Toby's not had everything go his way tonight. He's been very dominant so far this season with race wins, but Dyson, if everything goes his way, could be in for a 1 for 1, or actually 2 for 2, because he's started a race and won a race already this season with us. What we might just do is jump on board here with Jamie Nankervis and just go for a couple of laps and listen to the car and the way he drives this car.
See at the moment he's just trying to keep the pace of that car up and not lose too much of it through the corners. But fuel saving is going to be a big part of this race for some of these drivers, because they just want to try and get as long as they can just in case a lucky caution flag comes out, because that will just get them the extra mileage that they need to get to the end of this race. A few of these drivers are just going to be uncomfortably close to running the tank dry, of course, and they're going to want to try and get as long as they possibly can. We've got 79 laps remaining here. We're on lap 187 of the Golden Octopus Foundation Texas 400. So I'm hoping I didn't miss too much, Mark, because I was stretching the old legs.
No, mate, they were just going around and around in circles.
As racing cars do. Well, you hope they do. I mean, you know, it's not always the case with racing cars when they don't go round and round circles. That can be very frustrating things indeed. But at the moment, so Andrew Dyson's looking pretty good. However, Lachlan Urquio and Ruben Phelps are closing the gap as Stevie Dubb comes down pit lane, again making great fuel mileage. 68 laps in the tank for this one. So he's managed to get a fairly good run in this one. Again, so he's been the fuel-saving master tonight because he's kept pace up as well as getting those extra couple of laps in there too. So he's just going to be kicking himself if he didn't come down pit road with that caution, I reckon, because he could have been very easily up there had he just had that little bit of extra fuel on board.
And unfortunately for Stevie, though, mate, he's just gone 3 laps down. So yeah, that is going to hurt him.
It's a painful thing indeed. It's never nice when those things happen. And just noticing in the medical centre, we have Brett Campbell. So we might just drag him down and see what's going on. 015, Mr. Brett Campbell, are you copying?
I do, Carl. How are you this evening?
I am good, thank you, Brett. I would much rather be talking to you at the very end of the race because you've got a victory underneath your belt, but always a pleasure. What's happened out there to the 015 Golden Octopus Foundation car?
Mate, all night it's been a bit of a handful. Just couldn't get the thing to turn into turn 1 and 2, and yeah, just kept hitting the outside wall a bit too many times, and yeah, went down too many laps. So rather than be a hindrance to some of these lead boys, so I'd just park it in the garage and walk away from it tonight.
Well, at least you've made it to those crucial laps, so at least you'll get some points underneath the belt. It looked like a very tricky track to be running tonight, so now obviously from your experience, it's not been the easiest one.
No, mate, those, like I said, those first 10 or 15 laps, you drove like a dream, but after that, it just, for me personally, it just became a real handful.
Oh, but it's never fun to hear. We we like seeing you out on the track and getting those victories when they creep up.
Yeah.
Not always easy to do. Obviously, Texas, very tricky track, but next week we're going to be heading, of course, to Talladega. It's going to be a very different kettle of fish. How are you feeling for your chances on the super speedway?
Personally, Talladega I actually quite like. Most drivers, that when it comes to super speedway, they sort of say, "Oh, I don't like that track. You're always waiting for the big one." And yeah, I guess you are waiting for the big one, but hopefully next week, with the importance of the event for us, she'll be a nice, clean race.
Fingers crossed you can get the car up there and have a nice, solid finish next week, of course, because it's nice when you can do that for the logos on the side of the car.
Yeah, and one of the rare occasions that the golden octopus will not be so golden.
Of course, celebrating and paying respect to fellow colleagues from the Anzacs next week as well. And look forward to seeing that car when it breaks out from its top and we can see it properly.
Yes, hopefully it's done justice.
Yeah, look, sorry, Carl, I'm gonna butt in. Brett, look, mate, I'm an ex-serviceman, you know that, and all I can say is your grandfather would be upstairs with a big smile on his face. Every year you do a great job on your paint scheme, and mate, I know you haven't done actual service, but you've been very heavily involved in the Naval Cadets through your youth, and I know that one of your kids are now involved. And look, for me, I hope she goes on to join the military because it's a great life. But again, mate, it's a great thing you have done in honour of your grandfather, and that's all I'm going to say about the paint.
Thanks, Mark.
Absolutely, and it's cracking on now. You feel like staying with us for a bit, Brett, or are you going to be heading off for a bit of a stretch?
No, mate, I've been for a stretch, had something to eat, and I'm here for the long haul now.
Awesome. Well, we're talking a little bit about strategy, of course, because it's getting very close to that point where they're going to be struggling. So Andrew Dyson at the moment, he's 65 laps into this stint. Toby Stent 66. We've got 67 laps remaining. Do you think these guys are going to need to make a splash and dash?
Quite possibly, mate. My fuel economy is probably a little bit worse than what these boys is. I think I was talking to you earlier and said that I was getting about 65 laps to a tank. It all depends. I'm relatively new to the racing scene with these boys, and watching some of these guys, they can get an extra 5, well, I won't say 10, but maybe 3-4 laps out of a tank than what I can, and I'm doing my best to try and keep with them, so to speak. So, yeah, I really think quite a few of them are going to need to do another splash and dash.
Yeah, it's on that crucial lap now. So Andrew Dyson, is he going to need to pull into pit lane? He is. So he theoretically can just about make it on fuel, but he needs to be so very careful. He's going to be running on fumes. So is Toby Stent as well. Toby Stent has been he's coming in pit lane now, and that car is not moving very fast. It's sounding very quiet because it's run out of fuel. Toby Stent has run out of gas, so he's got too far into the stint, and he has run it dry, and that's going to cost him an awful lot of time out there.
Yeah, I think that's his race over and done with in the sense of winning it, because he's just going to drop too far back. Where we've seen Toby on that last stop make up a little bit of ground coming into pit lane.
That's the risk these guys are playing. They were gambling with their stint lengths, and I think Andrew Dyson might just be okay. but he's got to drive carefully for this whole stint. Daniel Herscheid, he's going to be coming down pit lane very, very soon. He's going to be hoping he does not run out of fuel, though, because he's going to be very, very close as well. So he's going to need to pop down pit lane very, very shortly. So is Joshua Carroll.
He's in pit lane.
He is now.
And of course, the one thing that they don't want in that fuel strategy, Carl, is to run out of fuel with a green-white checker, as I unfortunately found out the other night.
It's so easy to do when you get that extended time. And of course, there's 2 green-white checkers in the Warriors series. So that can be... Oh, Stanley Hellershide misses his pit box. I'll ask you something about that in a moment, Brett. But with those extra 5 or 6 laps you get in overtime, it can really cost you. We've seen a lot of drivers skipping their pit box tonight, Brett. And looks like it's just a bit tricky to get on the marks tonight. Were you struggling?
Yeah, I was, because I didn't do my usual strategy and start at the back of the pack. I actually qualified tonight, which for me is a rarity, mainly because I'm trying to stay out of all of the accidents that generally happen in the first half of the race. So, yeah, I was sort of unsighted as to where my pit box was tonight, so I did struggle a bit there on 1 or 2 occasions.
It's very easy to do, unfortunately, especially if you're in a position that you're not used to finishing in. Of course, because the pit boxes are laid out in qualifying order.
Sorry, Carl.
Yeah,
Urquio's in pit, and this is the earliest we've seen him pit. He normally goes out to that same...
Is coming in as well. These boys are coming in to cover themselves off. They need to get those fresh tyres on because they're going to lose too much time. But they've made it to those positions where they don't have to worry on fuel. So they're coming in to get the tyres. And, fresh tyres have been such a big pace giver that they're going to take advantage of that. Ryan Jones is currently in the lead, but not for long, because here comes Dyson. And Andrew Dyson's going to come sailing past back into the lead of this race. He's not done the perfect race. He's not led every lap tonight, but he's almost done that. He's very much been right at the top all race long. So Ruben Phelps and Lachlan Oak are coming in. They can obviously chuck a little bit less fuel in, so they can go through the pit lane a little bit quicker, but they will be putting all 4 tyres on as well, which takes a little bit of time, of course, in the car. Ryan Jones will have to come down pit lane again, though. And I imagine he'll come down pit road in about 5 to 10 laps, because he's been sort of pitting on about the 50th lap. Just looking through the order, Kai Turner's having a good run up there, but he's going to need to come in for another stop as well in the 408. Of course, he's having a solid run after that incident on the early stages of the race with himself and Urquio. Quite a bit of damage on the right front of Turner's car, but he's been running very well in it and keeping pace, so he could be on for a solid top 10 tonight.
Yeah, definitely going to be in that top 10, I'd say. Just looking at the fastest lap, JCW still retains the fastest lap of the race with a 38.048. Second fastest lap was Dyson, and then the third fastest was Toby Stent. So it's good to see that lap record be broken, and we see if we can get it broken again later on in the year.
That's it. It wasn't broken. I think it was absolutely smashed. 0.3 of a second is a fairly decent run. And it'd be nice to see it drop down to the 29th. As it almost does for Toby Stent that time round. A 30.010, 30.010. He very almost got it down into the 29s, but that's the closest we've seen it all night as he takes the fastest lap. That is a very fast lap indeed. I mean, it's... I don't know if you boys feel it, but sometimes when you're racing on the ovals, there's not much time between everybody on the track. It's not like a road circuit or a street circuit where there can be fairly hefty time gains. But when you're sort of on a track like this and you've got people about 0.3 faster than you, 0.4 faster than you, you just go, how did they do that?
Especially when, like on lap 209 that was. It's unbelievable that you can still punch out those fast times so late in the race.
I couldn't agree more with that statement, Mark and Carl. Like, I mean, I know I look at guys here in practice sessions, and I keep getting told by the senior drivers of like you, Mark, and Aiden, Toby, Ruben, and all of that. They all say that's draft assisted, and it's like, but surely it's not that much help, assistance to them.
Yeah, once you get up into that draft, it's probably good for, I'd say 5 mile. So yeah, it definitely does help, especially if you can get someone that you can trust and you know that can either push you or you can push them and really get that run.
Absolutely, these things do make a difference, of course. And just going back to have a little bit of a look-see at that lap, and yeah, Toby was pretty. He just got a nice draft off of I think it was Norman Clark on the end of the lap, and it just at the start of the lap it was relatively clean air, but on the end he just got in the right place at the right time to just get that little bit of slipstream in action and just work his way up there. SRM battle going on here between Lachlan Urquio and Ruben Phelps here, and this is the battle for 6th and 7th at the moment. These two very close to each other, and I imagine Lockie's going to be pretty happy just to sit in behind Rubes here, because Ruben is battling for the championship, and he's only 40 odd points behind Toby Stent, so he's going to want to try and get those scores up. Toby Stent is still ahead of these two drivers as well, after his error with the fuel, but he's only about 3 seconds up the road from Ruben Phelps, so he's really putting in the fast laps at the moment, trying to extend that lead because he knows Ruben is coming for him. Ruben would surely love to get ahead at the moment to help close that gap on the championship point margin.
Well, it's going to close Toby up to Ruben because second place man, I think it's Daniel Heddershide's in second at the moment, or is it Ruben?
Third. Ruben's in second.
So that's going to even pull Toby back a little bit closer because Daniel's in front of Toby, and he is 4 seconds up the road in front of Toby. So, but in saying that, you can see in the background that shot there, Toby's just there on that bottom line, coming through 1 and 2 now, and so it won't be long before Toby is back up on the rear of Daniel.
Absolutely. Ryan Jones still up in P2 at the moment. He's going to have to come down pit lane in the very near future, as I think he might be doing it right now. No, he's going to stick it out just a little bit longer. He obviously heard me and decided to prove me wrong. But he's sticking out there a little bit longer, but he's going to have to make a trip down pit lane. He's got Adam Malone just behind him. Malone having a solid run tonight, but he's going to have to make the trip down pit lane again for a splash of fuel. He's about 10 laps shy at the moment, and as much skill as some of these drivers have, making 10 laps at Texas is not possible without the car being stationary.
Yeah, and definitely not going to help when there's no drafting going on. There's very little guys that are in the draft, although as I just click over to Norman will be getting a little bit of a draft off Stevie Dub. Excuse me. But yeah, we've seen with the small numbers of cars tonight, they've been able to spread out a fair bit. So it is going to be hard for these guys to save that type of fuel. And as we see Norman get a run on Stevie Dub, and this is for position 12 and 13.
It is indeed. Norman Clark might be able to just scrape home on fuel here as well. Stevie Dub, he's got to come down pit lane one more time tonight, as he will not make it to the end. As much as we've seen some great fuel saving from Stevie Dub tonight, he's going to need to pop down pit road just to get it home. I reckon we're going to see a fair few cars running out of gas on the last lap or two here tonight, Mark.
I think so. Just working on your sums, Stevie Dub Adam Malone, Ryan Jones, all those. What have we got? 20, 40 odd laps to go. Oh, Andrew Dyson is going to be very, very close, but we know how well he can save. But it's too close to call. I'm afraid to say, Carl.
And I don't think we're going to be seeing victory donuts from Dyson tonight, because I think he's going to be just chugging to the line with a sippy cup of fuel left in there. Is not going to be much at all. He's just going to be thankful that we don't need to take fuel samples at the end.
Yeah, definitely. I think Adam Malone is out of those top. Well, Ryan Jones he's got to come down pit lane. So there's no questions. He's on lap 55 in this stint. Adam Malone is on lap 32 of the stint, so he may squeeze it in.
He won't. There's no way he's making it to the end without another stop mark.
Yeah.
He's got to make up about 10 laps of fuel.
Yeah, it's really hard to call. It really is. Daniel Hederscheid should be safe. Toby Stent is going to be pushing it a lot with Dyson. But I think it's going to come back to what you said earlier. Ruben and Lachlan are probably the guys that are in the box seat. They've only done 17 and 18 laps on this fuel run.
Those two SRM cars can make it home without any bother. Yeah, they have got enough fuel to make it to the flag without even worrying about it. Everybody else out there has got to really be a bit cautious. And I think the only car up there that's probably safest on fuel out of the top five at the moment is Daniel Hederscheid. But it is going to be very close for him as well, as we saw his teammate run out of fuel about half a lap shy before Toby Stent, of course. So it's going to be very, very close indeed for all of those cars. And I think Ruben Phelps and Lachlan Occhio are looking very, very good at the moment. And they're pretty safe to make it home on fuel without too much bother.
We might jump back on board with Dyson and just see his fuel save again. But yeah, look, it's going to be too close to call. We can see here though, Carl. Look, he is now down into the 6,000 RPM rev limit. So he is backing right off. He's really trying to fuel save.
Yeah, he is in Toby Stent in pit lane. Toby Stent is in pit lane. He couldn't make it up. This is crucial information, I think, because remember, Toby Stent came in the same lap as Andrew Dyson, pretty much. He came in actually a lap later than Andrew Dyson, remember. So he's having to come down pit road to get a little bit of extra fuel in the tank.
So he's up to 6 seconds. So he's taken roughly 8 seconds worth of fuel.
Yeah, and it was just a splash and dash for him. He didn't worry about tyres. He's just got fuel on board. Ryan Jones is in. Kai Turner into pit lane as well now. So this is, as I said, this is going to be a very tough race for Daniel Hederscheid and Andrew Dyson to get to the end on fuel. I think they're going to be just a lap or two shy, and it's going to be really, really crucial just to really save fuel in this stint. Of course, when you're saving fuel, you're going to be traveling a little bit slower. Andrew Dyson's got a nice gap up the front, but he's not going to be able to use. He's going to have to really, really be cautious to the end of this race to get home. And I'm listening to his car. It sounds like he's clutching it a little bit.
Sorry, Carl. I think Toby actually took 2 tyres, which was his outside tyres.
Okay. I guess it's a free stop for right side only, getting the fuel on board. So he's
and that'll probably make the car a little bit more comfortable to drive, but it could also be a little bit more painful to drive.
It throws everything out of balance, doesn't it, Brett? Like when you only take one set of tyres, it can really make the car a little bit unbalanced. And I guess if he's taking those tyres as well, he won't have any left for a green white checker.
I would hazard a guess at that, but by the same token, he probably has gotten rid of some really sad looking right front tire, a really sad looking right front tire, and so that might have been the method behind his madness with that stop before.
Well,
Top it up a little bit, run the tires out a little bit more, and then get a right side tire and have something to fight with on the way home.
Well, he just set one of the faster laps out. He's just set the fastest lap out there because he's just got a 29.942. He has broken the 29s. Toby Stent has gotten it into the 29s. He is flying out there, but he's going to have to really push on hard. Daniel Hederscheid has just lost a position to Ruben Phelps as well. Ruben Phelps charging his way up there. I reckon Daniel Hederscheid is in super fuel saving mode, and he is just losing time hand over fist to Ruben Phelps, who doesn't have to worry about that. Ruben Phelps is flying at the moment.
Again, as we jump on board with Daniel Hederscheid, mate, we can see him down into the 6,000 RPM. So he is definitely trying to save fuel too. The person, as you said, Toby Stent, a blistering 29.9. That is nearly 2 seconds quicker than Andrew Dyson with a 31.6.
Well, he's done a second lap at 29.71, so he's in the 29s constantly. He's just done a 30 on the dot. So he's absolutely flying out there. He's a good second and a bit quicker than the cars ahead of him, who are all really having to fuel save, other than Urquio and Phelps. Lachlan Urquio is catching up to Adam Malone as well. Lachlan Urquio is going to be on the back of Adam Malone here and wanting to get past very quickly, as you see on the cameras now. As Daniel Hederscheid is just dropping back and back a little bit more, and he's got Toby Stent just in front of him as well. So Toby Stent is a lap down at the moment. So he's just behind Joshua Carroll Walden. So he's going to have to really, really work hard to get up there at the moment, because he's lost a lot of positions, but he now knows he can make it to the end of this race, whereas there's question marks for so many other cars out there.
Yeah, definitely, and I think you may be right. I think we may see a few people do my trick that I did for Brett there on Wednesday night, and push another car across the line.
Yeah, I was very grateful for that too. I wasn't so grateful for the bit just before the green flag dropped, but
And I'm just listening to Dyson. He is really having to fuel save at the moment, and he's got a nice gap behind him, so he's got the time to do it. And I reckon he might just be able to make it work. But Ruben Phelps is closing in. Phelps is really pushing hard at the moment. There's 30 laps to go, but he's not making enough time to close up that gap. So that big buffer that Dyson made is working for him, but he's got to make it to the end on that fuel. If he runs out of fuel and can't get across the line, it's not going to help him.
No. I would say Dyson is probably hoping that, like all heck at the moment, for a caution, just so that he can get a bit of relief. I mean, it'll close everybody up, but it'll give him that little bit of fuel security, knowing that he's got at least a little bit to fight with.
Well, you can see there on the bottom of the screen now, Andrew Dyson's last lap at 31.1, Phelps at 31.19. They are absolutely identical lap times, but the big thing is there's 19 seconds between first and second, Carl.
There is indeed. Ryan Jones just siving his way past some of the leaders at the moment as he's trying to get back up there. He's chasing down Toby Stent. Not quite got the pace of Stent though, so not quite able to do it, but they might be able to catch Joshua Carroll Walden, who is going to have to be fuel saving a lot in this run. Kai Turner, he's dropped outside the top 10, but he is able to be pushing it at the moment and not having to worry about fuel. He's catching up to Jai Schultz at the moment. So that will be a battle for the top 10. Gemini Curvis in P9 at the moment as well. So there's a lot of action still on the track. There's a lot of cars in different positions as well, because they're sort of on different sets of tyres, different fuel strategies. There's a lot of different things going on track at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. Look, Carl, the other thing too is that we're showing 20 cars out there rotating, but again we're joined up in the booth by the pilot of the 015, Brett Campbell. So that gives us 19 cars on the still out there circulating. The cars that we've lost tonight is Gary Wellman, Derek Jacobs, our American driver, Peter Gretton, and Paul Drady. Unfortunately, both Paul and Peter will not pick up points tonight. Neither will Derek. So, unfortunately, those first three that drop out won't score points tonight.
Tricky positions to be. Lachlan Acquio now all over the side of Daniel Hederscheid. The battle is on, and Lachlan Acquio is trying to make the move up to P3 at the moment. He's on the outside, getting a good run on Hederscheid. Hederscheid, I don't think, has got much to fight him with. He's still in fuel conservation mode. Acquio's going, well, I don't need to worry about that. I can get to the end. I've got enough gas in my tank as he moves up into P3. The gap up the front still pretty stable, about 20 seconds between Phelps and Dyson. But the two SRM cars of Phelps and Acquio have played an absolute blinder here tonight and have worked their way right up onto the podium.
Yeah, great. You made that call earlier on in the race that those boys were the ones to watch. We've still got a 19-second gap between Dyson and Phelps. So we've got 24 laps to go. I think Andrew, unless he runs out of fuel, may be able to get this win. But we'll jump back on board here and we'll see, just go quiet for a lap or two just to see how much fuel saving he is doing. You can see there, Carl, he's driving both ends of the racetrack very differently. Into 1 and 2, he's right off the gas early, but he just seems to be carrying that little bit more speed through 3 and 4.
It's telling me at the moment he's looking pretty comfortable. He's not really worrying too much about the revs, and he's able to keep the speed up. So I think Dyson's comfortable. He's going to make it to the end on fuel. I don't know if he'll be able to make the victory lap, but he's looking like a driver that's comfortable on fuel at the moment, and he's not looking like he's conserving too much.
I'm just looking at track position between Andrew Dyson at the moment and Ruben Phelps, their second position. Andrew Dyson's it's nearly the length of the track between the start-finish line and the exit of turn 2 before Dyso would actually put a lap on Ruben. Yeah,
it's about 11 seconds he's got on Phelps. Phelps has got on Dyson for the lap. So it's sort of a stalemate at the moment. But I've just been watching Dyson. He just looks a little bit more confident now. I think he's got to that point where he goes, yeah, I'm going to make it on fuel.
The thing is, at the moment, Ruben's got a clear track in front of him. Dyso's got back markers, so traffic could pose a problem.
We still could see traffic come to play in this race. It is often the way it goes as well. A late caution here could really change up the race as well, because that will pull away that gap. It will put everybody on fresh tyres. It will really change how things go. And if it's a green white checker, everybody's going to have to come in anyway to swap those tyres and get out there. And it's just, all of these things could come out to play. We don't know how it's going to go, but we'll keep our eye on that one. Just looking at battles at the moment. Josh Carroll-Walden's got Toby Stent closing in very quickly on him. Toby Stent will be very, very soon up on to the back of JCW and getting that position, getting up to P6 in this race. And, he's sort of making those fresh tyres work. He's still setting a blistering pace out there, but he's just got to try and get those extra positions. And it doesn't look like he's going to get his lap back either. He might just struggle to do that. So we'll see how that one runs out. Fastest car on track at the moment is Kai Turner. He's managed to get up into P10 after facing the wrong direction earlier in the race, bringing out the first and only caution so far tonight on whatever lap that was, many laps ago. But he's had a solid recovery race tonight. And the driver that was also caught up in that is also having a very solid recovery. And that's Lachlan Urquio as, big moment for Daniel. Big moment for Daniel Hederscheid. He's had a big oversteer moment on the exit of turn 2. He just saved the car in the right way, but it was very close to looping on him. So looks like tyres are just getting into that stage now. We've seen it a few times tonight where the rears are falling off. And Brett, you've got some fresh experience on the track. Was it more just wear, or was it tyre heat that was causing problems?
I think it was probably more tyre heat, Carl. I mean, that turn 1 and 2, you're coming in there and just trying to get the speed washed off the car. You can hear the tyres scrubbing as you're going around turn 1 and 2.
Absolutely. Kai Turner up into P9 now. He's worked his way past Jamie Curvis in the Black Arrows car. And Turner getting himself solidly in the top 10. I don't think he's going to make any other positions tonight. But he's had a solid recovery run here, and he's made that stop work. Adam Malone, he's going to have to come in down pit lane very, very soon, though. That car is going to be running on vapors in the near future. He's on lap 63 of this stint, so he's going to be very, very close to needing to come into pit lane to get that tank filled up, and that's going to be a shame for him because that's going to drop him a lot of positions down the track.
Yeah.
Fresh tyres to the end.
So I would expect him in before with 10 laps to go, and that's exactly what you said, Carl. He'll be 10 laps short. So
I think I personally, because of the amount of green flag running, I think I would have come in about 10 or 15 laps prior to this and taken advantage of those fresh tyres. Because you're not going to get the best out of them right now. You're going to sort of you're going to get 10 laps of fresh tyres, but that might, if you had about 15 or 20 laps of fresh tyres, you might have been able to get a couple of positions back. But I think he's going to be dropping, might be able to creep inside the top 10, but he's going to be struggling to get much higher than that, I think, on this final run to the flag. Because he's very, very close to the limit on the fuel run right now.
Yeah, definitely. And unfortunately, that will put him a lap down, and that will leave us with 4 cars on the lead lap.
Absolutely, it's been blistering pace out here tonight for Andrew Dyson. He has absolutely been the charger out there, and he's got a very healthy gap, but he's going to be. He's still got to be just a little bit cautious to the end. Got 9 laps remaining, and he's going to be. I think he's going to be rocking back and forwards in his chair just to get it across the line safely.
And what's impressive too, Carl, is that we've been running, I'd say, just over the 2-hour mark now. So. Actually 2 hours and 20 minutes almost by the time this race is done, so that's a great race time too.
Very much so, as Malone makes it in pit lane. Toby Stent has got past Joshua Carroll-Walden, so he has moved up into P5 in this race, and Joshua Carroll-Walden's going to have to be looking in his mirror because Ryan Jones is getting closer and closer each lap, so Ryan Jones might be able to just pip JCW for P6 in this race. Where does Adam Malone come out? That's going to be the big question. He's dropping back through the field. He's going to get some fresh boots on the car and getting out on to the racetrack. He's currently dropped down into P10. So Jai Schultz is the next car, going to be flying past any moment. And there he goes. So that drops Adam Malone down into P11. So he's going to have some fresh boots to get back up there. So he should have some pace to get up to around about P. It might be able to get P10.
Yeah, the P10 I'd say would be the best he can hope for, because the P9 is a lap ahead of these two guys. So yeah, and that's Jamie Nankervis there in P9. So good race there for Jamie. Another top 10 finish.
A solid run. Well, he's got to get to the finish first. I mean, he should be okay on fuel though for himself. The one to watch out for is going to be Andrew Dyson. 6 laps remaining. And he is in that danger zone. He's got to get 6 more laps of fuel out of this car on a car that's only been managed at about 65 laps a tank. So he's currently a little bit shy by about a lap. So he'll have been really saving hard, I think. But he should be able to just make it to the line. A couple of other drivers that are going to be very, very close or maybe needing to come in. Norman Clark and Jake Saddington. Norman Clark is going to be right on the edge of what that car can do for fuel. So he might just run out of fuel there. So we'll see how that one goes at the end of the race.
Obviously, the ignition on my car failed because I just blew the engine up.
See, you need to just get the fan in the front of the car and not getting the airflow through. The engine's just gone pop. As Adam Malone gets past Jai Schultz up into P10. And he's got a long way to go to make up on Jamie Nankervis. So I don't see any more positions in his future. But we've got 4 laps remaining now, and it is the 41 of Andrew Dyson in the lead still, just getting tantalisingly close to the end. Will he make it to the checkered flag? Will he make it around back to the checkered flag afterwards? That one is looking very questionable, but he's looking like he might just squeak through. Ryan Jones just gets past Joshua Carroll-Walden. Those two fighting out on track at the moment. JCW on the outside, Ryan Jones on the inside. These two looking to make the move. This is for battle for P6 at the moment. Ryan Jones has got slightly fresher tyres by about 25 laps, and he's just able to take that inside line, just making it work. He should just be able to slide up in front of JCW there and get the move done. A solid run from Ryan Jones tonight. 2 laps remaining now as Dyson is getting close to the finish of this race.
Yeah, great drive by Dyson tonight. Absolutely flawless, really. Being able to grab the lead and stay out there for most of the race, but we've probably seen a few, probably 8 or 9 lead changes tonight. So it's been a great racing yet again.
It's been a solid run.
Has Dyso stretched that lead out, Mark? Another 2 seconds.
Yeah, he's out to 20 seconds, 20-second gap now between himself and second place Ruben Phelps.
That's unreal when you try to save fuel and you can still open a little bit of a gap.
Well, he's done that because he's coming around the final corners now. Just a few more meters to go. And he is about to take victory here for the Golden Octopus Foundation 400 at Texas. It's Andrew Dyson who crosses the line with an empty tank of gas. And I think his car might be a bit silent at the moment, because that thing has run out of fuel on the line itself. He timed it to perfection there. Andrew Dyson getting victory. It's going to be Ruben Phelps coming home in P2 for SRM. A great run for him. And the biggest gainer of the night, up 11 positions in this race. And that's going to help his championship out a huge amount. Lachlan Urquio dropped to the back of the field, and he had the caution flag fly on him. But he comes home for 3rd position tonight. Daniel Hedershine will come home in P4 with Toby Stent making it back in P5. Ryan Jones will come home in P6 tonight with Joshua Carroll-Walden in 7th. 8th is Kai Turner. A very solid recovery for himself as well. Jamie Curvis comes home in P9, a solid top 10 finish. Adam Malone will be our top 10 finisher, the final driver in the 10 tonight.
Andrew's actually got a little bit of fuel.
Because he switched the car off to get it to the get it there for the donuts. Yeah, because I heard that car just drop on as soon as it got to the line, so he must have switched it off and just used momentum to get around to do some donuts. He wanted to have enough gas in there to just have a bit of fun with the victory donuts tonight. Andrew Dyson there just showing off.
And well deserved after that race.
Solid drive from him. He had the pace tonight all night long, and he put it to good use. Not the fastest track car out there, though. That does go to Toby Stent on a 29.942. He broke into the 29s, the only driver to do it. Toby Stent had some great pace out there, but what could have been for Toby Stent if he didn't run out of fuel? What could have been? He had the pace out there, but he just miscalculated the fuel. So let's run through the results once more. It was Andrew Dyson taking victory tonight from start to finish. He led and conquered. It's Ruben Phelps coming home in P2, biggest position of the night, up 11 spots. Luke Lachlan Oquio in P3, with Daniel Hershide P4, Toby Stent 5th, 6th was Ryan Jones, Joshua Carroll-Walden 7th, 8th for Kai Turner, 9th for Jamie Curvis, and Adam Malone in 10th. As we roll over the page, it's Jai Schultz bringing it home in P11 with Norman Clark making it to the line in 12th spot. Jake Sannington comes home and is the best of the rookies tonight, coming home in 13th spot. Adam Ariel in 14th, for Tristan Koch in 15th, Brad Fenley in 16th, Stevie Dubb in 17th, Maxi Marshall brings it home in 18th. Ross Chatham had a big hit on the right front. He got the repairs done, scores some points tonight in P19, and Gary Wellman rounds out the 20. Brett Campbell is in 21st position and cruising up here in the booth, relaxing. With Derek Jacobs in 22nd, Peter Gretton 23rd, and Paul Drady did not make the start, but managed to get out for a couple of laps, but had some technical issues, unfortunately. So a very solid run here at Texas for the Golden Octopus Foundation 400. A rather very clean race, in fact. Just that little tap at the start of it, but no cars really seeing too much damage tonight, which is a nice thing. So what we might do is we will grab up our third place finisher, the SRM machine. It's Lachlan Urquhart in the 42. Lockie, welcome to the broadcast booth tonight, mate. Congratulations on a well-deserved podium.
Yeah, thanks, Carl. I'm cooked. That was intense.
Well,
I'm so happy that we got the podium in the end, but Jesus,
it's a long old race.
260 laps green. I'm knackered.
You almost put some money in the old kitty there.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't looking so good on lap 7 or 8, was it? Early in the race, we saw contact with yourself and Kai Turner.
Yeah. Look, I'm not 100% sure what happened there, but I judging by the way that we raced each other later in the race, I think we both understood that it wasn't really anyone's fault. It was kind of just one of those wrong place, wrong time racing incidents. I haven't seen the replay, so I can't really make a call, but there was no hard feelings between us for the rest of the race anyway.
No, I mean, it was the only caution of the race. That's the only one I can talk about, really. But it must have been that sort of moment where your heart just drops and you go, oh, no, there's a long way to go in this race. Have I got damage? Is this my race over? But it turned out it was kind of the key for getting the podium tonight.
Yeah, I think without it, I definitely wouldn't have got that podium. It put me on the right strategy to definitely cycle through. I mean, I think it worked because Ruben was on the same strategy out of choice because he came down and did the stop, and he had the better car and without the damage, so he showed the potential of that strategy. Unfortunately, Dyson was just way too good, and we made a few too many mistakes on pit road. But it was definitely a good race. I think I didn't see the gap in the end, but I know I cost myself a good 15 seconds in little pit road mistakes, so that could have been the difference. But yeah, props to Andrew. He was just way too good today, and we'll have to go back to the drawing board to see if we can knock him off next week. Yeah.
No, look, a great run tonight. Look, 2 cars in the top 3 is not a bad result. And look, when it was looking a little bit dire at the start of the race, when the caution flag came out, and getting a podium out of it is never a bad result at all. So congratulations on that one, Lachlan. Before I let you go, though, look, shout out and love to personal sponsors and people in general. We'll make Ruben do the hard work because he finished a bit higher up.
Oh, look, a big shout out to obviously Maddie for being the best team boss ever. But yeah, and also to Mitre 10 for looking after me and helping out with the liveries and everything, giving us the stickers, and then obviously big shout out to TS Australia, do some great work with young kids with Tourette's. So if you're ever looking at help out, they're always looking for help wherever they can get it. And yeah, obviously Mobile Brakes Mechanical on the bonnet, looking after us, helping us get some practice sessions up and keeping us on the ball. We've got a few others. I think I'll leave the rest to Ruben, so I won't steal his thunder. But yeah, cheers for the broadcast, guys.
No.
Yeah, that was an awesome race.
Congratulations. Go and have a nice sit down in something that's not a race chair after that, and a bit of a drink, Lockie.
I think my bed will be the option, to be honest. I am ready for bed.
Have a good sleep,
cheers,
mate.
guys.
Congratulations. Lachlan Urquio there. SRM up in P3 tonight. A very solid finish for him. But it's his teammate, Mr. Ruben Phelps, the flying Kiwi himself, who gets a P2 tonight. Ruben Phelps for SRM, congratulations on a very solid P2 tonight, and a very solid strategy as well to get that result.
Yeah, it was definitely, just be honest, I'm absolutely buggered. It was a long green flag race and my arms are dead, but yeah, I'm thankful that that strategy was definitely the right one, because no more yellows after lap 8?
Yeah.
Lap 8, and we did a whole 260 laps, or 258 laps bloody green. It's oh, that was crazy.
I'll tell you what, those 8 laps of extra fuel looked like they gave you so much more confidence out there. That early stop really paid off.
Oh yeah, no, that was. I mean, I didn't really work out the strategy before the race anyway, but I knew you could get about at least 67, I think was the maximum number I could really get to on a fuel run. And obviously, if you just do the maximum, it was about a few laps difference. Then, since all those other guys in pit, obviously thinking, there might be another yellow and all that stuff in the sequence, and it really wouldn't matter. But luckily, those yellows sort of didn't come, and it sort of led to the situation. If you just extended it just a wee bit, the fuel game sort of scenario came into it. But at the same time, I was looking after tyres, just trying to manage it and being consistent, and that's all it takes.
It was a very solid run indeed, and it may have come across the strategy a little bit by accident, but it really paid off for yourself and Lachlan tonight. That run to the flag, though, we saw you siving your way past a fair few number of cars as well after that final stop. Obviously, they must have needed to do a lot more fuel saving. Yeah,
no, they definitely were, especially on tyres and that, you're destined to, if you overheat them, of course, you just fall off straight away. So if you can manage to pace it, but putting it extra bit later as well, makes it a lot easier to make moves. It was a bit, it was how you going a couple of times with a couple of back markers, but I mean, it's what it is. You always get into traffic at some point, don't you, in these ovals?
You do indeed, and when it's such a long green flag period, everybody is mentally tired as well. It does not make things easy.
Oh yeah, like I said, those last 40 laps, as soon as I came in that last stop there, probably 5 laps into it, my shoulders started getting sore, and you know what it's like when you get sore and you can't take it anymore. You know what it's like.
I do indeed, unfortunately, but you made it pay off tonight with a very solid P2, and this is going to be very helpful for the championship.
Oh yeah, exactly. But to be fair, in this league, I'm going just a bit of fun, but you always got to look at those points here and there. But I mean, obviously, like I said, Toby is pretty good, so it'd be a hard ask but one race he misses or something like that, then it's all thrown up in the air. So this is any race you can beat him in points, makes a big difference. So I'll take what I can get.
Just need some Aussies up there because it's looking a bit Kiwi heavy at the top at the moment. But damn them Kiwis. That's all right. Whoever wins the championship becomes an honorary Australian, so that's the main thing.
Oh, exactly.
Look, congratulations tonight, Rubes. Well done indeed on a very solid P2. Before I let you go, though, love and shout out to all the sponsors and anyone in general you'd like to say hello to.
I got to thank Mark Johansson for putting Weekend Warriors on. I know how much time and effort he puts into that every year and every week. Also, you got obviously Mark again for the broadcast, even. So two. I don't know how he does it, but other than that, SRM Australia. Unfortunately, Maddie couldn't make it. He had an issue with his PC or something tonight, and me and Lockie made a bet that we're going to come out and win it for the thing. So he came pretty damn close as well. So, but it's unfortunately Andrew Dyson's way too good. So you know how it works. But anyway, the sponsors: Mobile Brake and Mechanical Repairs, Made of Auckland, Murphy's Mitre 10, Moondog, and of course Lockie's charity of TS Tourette's and Brendan Henderson's Australia Alopecia.
Wonderful stuff. Congratulations, Rubes. Well done again, and I'm sure we'll see you back in the box in the near future, mate.
Yep, next week.
Absolutely. I'm going to tip you for not winning, so that way you have good luck.
That's exactly what it is. No, yep, don't mention me, or well, yeah, you'll mention me.
Have a good one, Rube.
Yeah, thank you.
Ruben Phelps there for SRM P2 tonight. And finally, we're going to grab up the man with the 7-mile fuel line, Mr. Andrew Dyson for DPR. Congratulations on a very solid victory here at Texas, mate.
Thanks, man. Yeah, the good runs like that don't come along too often, so you got to kind of grab them with both hands and try not to let go of it.
Oh, absolutely. You had some very strong pace out there tonight, mate.
Yeah, well, we were just chatting about that in the green room. I had Ryan Jones behind me, and he's a bit of a weapon for going as fast as he can at the start of races. So I thought I'll go pretty quick and see if he goes pretty quick. And we did at the start there, like the first little sort of few laps until the yellow come out, and then the second yellow started off and he dropped back a bit. But I decided I'll just keep going with it anyway to see what happens. And it worked out all right. I was able to hang on just a little bit, and then it was green the whole way after that. So, I mean, who would have thought?
Yeah, are your arms feeling a little bit sore after that run?
Probably my left wrist, because you're always kind of left hand down a bit. Your wrist is on a funny angle, and I don't have a round wheel. I've got this little bloody U-shaped thing, which is awesome to race with, but not very good on those really long runs I've found. So I think I'm going to come up with a better solution there. But yeah, just a sore wrist really. But no, other than that, pretty good.
Can't complain too much at that one. What lap did you go? Oh crap! Fuel's going to be a little bit tight here.
Well, yeah, the fuel calculator pretty much, quick maths tells you kind of roughly how many liters you need, or how many pit stops you're going to need. So I thought, yeah, it's pretty much like right on. I decided that I was going to try and, as the runs went on, I was going to back it off a little and try and save a little bit because, yeah, that's when you kind of need to save a little bit more just in case there's a green white checker or something. So I thought I'd try and get something under my belt in case that happens. Luckily, it didn't happen because it would have been very, very tight then. But as far as getting to the end of the race goes, it was pretty good.
Oh, you make it sound too easy sometimes. I'm glad you actually switched the engine off so you had some fuel for the burnouts as well.
Yeah. No, I've got to be honest and just explain it as best I can, I suppose.
No, absolutely. No, look, it's a great thing. It's one of those things because it's the pace that you've got and just how calm you are with those things as well. It just shows the skill level, and it's always nice to see. We love seeing that, guys. So, congratulations on a very solid victory tonight as well. Like you just the pace was just relentless. You just missed out on the fastest lap though.
Oh, spewing. Because I probably was going a bit too easy at the end of the race, but yeah. I've had some good races at this track, and I like it a bit. And when, like I said, when the good runs come along, you kind of got to grab them with both hands and do the best you can to hang on to them. So glad I was able to do that.
Look, congratulations tonight, guys. So before I let you go, the thing that we love to hear, the shout out, the love to sponsors and people in general, take it away.
Yep, Steve for having a race tonight. Thanks, man. All the DPR boys for tuning in and doing all those things. And hopefully they had a bit of a chat in the broadcast, pump up some numbers. But yeah, thanks to you guys for putting on the broadcast as well. Mark, all the crew for getting the league together. And yeah, all the league sponsors and all our sponsors, Simrigs, South Wales, all those guys. Thanks a lot.
Not a problem at all. Will we be seeing? Sorry, Mark.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Andrew, you've come back in at the right time. Next week, at the Anzac Cup, you're currently the trophy holder for that. So it's got to put you in a good stead for the 151 laps around Talladega next week.
Well, we know how much of a different beast those tracks are. So nice to have some success on a roll sort of thing in the league. But I mean, yeah, you go to a different sort of track. You just got to come into it with a completely different mindset and try and do the best you can with that. But yeah, I mean, we'll roll up. We know that race is pretty. I know you boys are trying to get it kind of up there in sort of high esteem, and if we can get a few of our boys to come race it and join in with that and pump some numbers up, that'll be really good. So we're looking forward to it. Yeah,
definitely. Well, if you can save fuel like you did tonight, it's going to be a very interesting race again next week.
Well, I think I don't reckon everyone likes fuel savers too much, but yeah, we'll be trying everything we can, of course, all the time.
No worries. Back to you. I'll let you finish off, Carl.
Absolutely. I was just going to say good luck next time out, and I'm sure we'll see you back in the booth soon. You tend to have some good runs at the super speedways.
Yeah, it just kind of clicked a little bit a while back, but yeah, I mean, anything can happen, so not counting any chickens or anything like that. Just going to roll up and do the best we can.
Thank you so much, Daiso. I'm sure we'll see you back in the booth in the near future, but we look forward to next time out. Be a good race at the super speedway.
All right, thanks, guys. See ya.
Andrew Dyson there for DPR, taking the win tonight. He makes it look easy, but it really is not. He puts in so much effort and time, and he's really put a lot of learning as well onto the oval side of things. Great to see him getting up there, and another really solid victory as well. Mark, over to you.
Yeah, I've just brought up the information for next week, mate. A very, very strong race to some of us guys next week. So round 8, the Anzac Cup, 151 laps at Talladega, and I know that there is a lot of guys that, as I've been saying through the broadcast, done a lot of great paint schemes for next week, and we have a special show beforehand. We're starting the broadcast around 6 o'clock. And we will be straight into our Anzac Day service, last post and different things, and we're hoping to have young Keeley from the Golden Octopus Foundation Australia come along and be our Grand Marshal for it, and saying those famous words before we go racing next week.
That would be great stuff indeed. Look, we surely and dearly hope that you can all join us for the next race. Of course, make sure to hit that subscribe button to catch all of the action here on Checkered Flag e-streaming. So I guess that's about it tonight, Mark. So we can wrap up here and head off and go and have a cup of tea and relax a little bit. So as ever, I'll thank, of course, Mr. Mikey Hanson for doing all the hard work on the cameras and helping out with the commentary tonight as well. Brett Campbell for joining us up here in the booth, the 015 Golden Octopus car up here after not so much of a fun run tonight, but it's always a pleasure to have him up here in the booth, especially for the Golden Octopus Foundation 400 here at Texas. But for myself, Mr. Carl Wilkinson, with you, wishing you all a very pleasant night, and we will see you next week.